The following program, though incredibly nerdy, is intended for mature audiences. Viewer discretion is advised, and you probably shouldn't watch if you're an overly sensitive pussy.
What is up? What is up, everybody? Welcome on in to another stream. And I think it's going to be a pretty stinking good one, I gotta say. I've got a feeling that it's gonna be a good stream. That's what this Doomsday shit makes me feel inside, you know? I don't walk around the grocery store. I frolic, you know? I don't drive around town. I cruise. Because Marvel's actually back. Oh my God, guys, you don't understand. Let me just say real quick. Let me just say real quick before we get into this, because I've been saying this a little bit, right, in videos and in streams and whatnot, right? But I don't know if you guys totally understand just how bad it was, you know. And look, it's good, and we're gonna talk about the good days. We're gonna talk about the good things, but like, dude, I went from when Endgame was coming out to having so much success, so much hype, you know, so much views, so people are so engaged that I was able to like go full time on YouTube, right? And then to go from that to then what we had to experience for the next couple of years, and I was just like I remember I was talking to a buddy earlier this year, and he was like, yeah, if you would have gone back in time and told yourself in 2019 after Endgame that like we'd be headed towards She-Hulk and Quantumania and the Marvels and stuff like that, like, would you even have believed yourself to see how like how crazy and ridiculous it all became, and it really did. And we're on the other side of it. It feels like, you know, knock on wood, knock on all the wood, you know. Holy shit, it feels like we're on the other side of it. It feels like people are actually really excited about Marvel again. Maybe it's a little bit different than it once was, even still, but these numbers are crazy, dude. Like, these numbers are insane. You know, we're talking about Doomsday opening to $1.5 billion. And sure, there's a little bit of inflation stuff there. You know, there's asterisks and things you can say about it. But damn, that shit is crazy. And I also just want to say, for you, if you've been hanging, if you've been chilling that entire time, holy shit, I love you. You know what I mean? And also, you earned this. You earned this almost as much as I did. I mean, you didn't really do too much, you know, but I did most of the work. But still, let's go hand in hand. Hand in hand. Let's appreciate each other, because really, we went through that whole fucking thing together, man. We went through that whole thing together, and now it's like our team finally has a winning roster again, you know? It feels like they could win another championship. Pretty cool. So thank you guys for that. Just something that was on my mind. Wanted to say that, but yeah, we really are in a really cool phase. So I got a ton of notes today. We got so much to talk about. Get that out of here. So much to talk about. We're gonna go over the Doomsday box office. We're gonna go over Secret Wars filming soon. We're gonna go over Tony Stark back permanently, and even more evidence of that. We're gonna talk about the Tobey leaks. The Tobey Maguire leaks for Doomsday. They're fucking brutal, bro. Kids are gonna cry. Do they know that? Does Kevin Feige know that kids are going to cry? And by kids, I do mean Alex Perez. He's gonna cry in the theater and probably miss the next 25 minutes. I'm just kidding, Alex, but no, you are gonna cry though. It's crazy. So we're gonna talk about that. Yeah, on that Tobey pack. Damn, we're gonna talk about that. Okay. I got a theory. Ladies and gentlemen, about that object that Doctor Doom is holding that was Reed Richards, and maybe they shared it together. Maybe that object has been very close to both of them. Maybe we're going to talk about it. So we're going to get into that. There's all these really awesome Doomsday edits as well. I thought we'd go through some of the best ones. You know, you guys could send some in. We'd look at these edits. I don't know what they're feeding these TikTok editors, but the Marvel Doomsday edits have been out of control, so I do want to go over some of that. And then, if you're feeling frisky, chat, there is a Warhammer video that I want to react to, because there's a video going semi-viral where somebody actually thinks the same thing that I think about who Henry Cavill will be playing in the Warhammer show, and so I'd like to react to that a little bit later. I know, Warhammer, but listen, shut your mouth. You know why? Because it's Warhammer Wednesday, baby. It's Warhammer Wednesday. And what we're going to do. You're totally feeling it, Braden? This is feeling it so good. So feeling it so frisky. Listen, Linda, tonight is Warhammer Wednesday. We're gonna probably go a little bit early. We might go at 7, okay? And here's the thing. My buddy agreed to play a Warhammer game on stream, so that's what we're gonna do tonight for the Warhammer Wednesday stream. If you've been curious about, like, what is this freaking game, how is this fun, why does Josh like this, come on by tonight for a Warhammer Wednesday stream. I'm gonna play a game live, and hopefully I'll win. Hopefully I do really good and I roll good. We'll see though. That'll be probably around 7, and I'm actually looking forward to that. It should be a fun time. I'll be playing with my best friend, and he's cool with coming on stream, so it's gonna be really cool. That'll be tonight at 7. Yeah, finally some Warhammer. Amen. Amen. All right, let's catch up on some of these chats here. Rossi first. By the way, guys, I don't know if I'm too late on this. Because I'm terrible at things. But I was supposed to let you guys know about the Fantasy Football League. So if you want to join the Fantasy Football League for the Nerdvengers, it's via the Discord. You got to get on there and talk to the peeps. And also, I pick the order of the draft, and I do it completely based on your name. So if your name pisses me off, you're going to get a very bad draft pick. If your name makes me happy, then I do a really good draft pick for you. So that's the only input I have is for the draft, and then otherwise they run a pretty nice fantasy league. So if you're interested in that before the season gets going, check that out on Discord. And also, as Rossi is reminding me right here, there is a West Coast meetup. Bunch of the Nerd Vengers that are on the West Coast are meeting up. They're going to go to the George Lucas Museum. That might be a separate thing, actually. But if you are in the area of the West Coast and you want to hang out with some awesome people, check that out. Rossi says, West Coast Nerd Vengers. Cool Bear and I have sent a DM on Discord to the people that DM'd us. It's our schedule, but we need a consensus and recommendation, so please respond. Much love. We do it for Heather. Yeah, so if you are already kind of figuring that out, hit them back up so that they can organize that as best as they can. It's going to be a good time. Sir Olivio, appreciate you. With a $5 holler says, bro, I tried buying opening day tickets on Sunday and this shit was sold out. This is going to be insane. Oh, how I wish DC and Marvel were swapped. Yeah, I mean, look. Man, the DC thing. Let me just say before I shit all over DC, and I think you guys know, like, you know, my takes and my thoughts on this. How are the DC fans actually feeling about this? Let's do a little therapy session, because it looks like you guys did well last year. Superman made more money than all the other Marvel movies, and it kind of looked like maybe the entire genre was off kilter, and so therefore I feel like DC fans felt a little bit better about maybe their prospects. And look, a year later, that's not really the story we're getting. So I wonder, how are you DC fans feeling, man? Like, this is kind of a tough... I guess what I'm saying is, if I strip away my bias, if I strip away not liking Gunn, and I just think about from a comic perspective, I love the DC characters. They deserve, like, imagine if we had a Blackest Night and, you know, like Necron or Superman 2 from Earth 2, or, you know, some of these other heavy hitters like Black Hand. What if we had this Doomsday level, or even close to a Doomsday level hype for like Blackest Night? Do you know what I mean? Like, as a fan of the DC characters in the Pantheon, you look at what Marvel's doing, you look at the excitement, the hype, and just, it's so fun. And I'm sorry, like, Man of Tomorrow really isn't it. That's not really even close. So I wish for the DC characters that they could get to this level. Imagine if we had, like, imagine if they could truly go head to head and we had like two massive comic book movie things happening, and then, you know, the DC fans and the Marvel fans could like talk shit on each other and get excited about their thing. It just don't really have that, you know? Lanterns is cool. I like Lanterns, and it's actually way more competent than most of the Marvel, if not all of the Marvel Disney Plus shows. But it's just clearly not the same. And I think when Zaslav hires Gunn, and when Zaslav is thinking about a DC universe or a cinematic universe in general, this is the kind of shit he's looking for. You know, so I sit there and I'm like, I don't know how I would feel if I was a main DC guy. I don't know how I could really be enjoying this time. Am I crazy though? Are you DC fans loving it? And hey, maybe you're a fan of both, and maybe you're like, yeah, Marvel's killing it. I'm glad Marvel's back doing really, really well, but DC has a chance. They're doing some good stuff. I don't know. What's the take, chat? I just want to know what you guys think as DC fans. Are you guys okay? Lanterns is peak. Clayface looks dope, but I'm still very concerned with the brand compared to Marvel. MOT will truly save or destroy the DCU. My DC comics are killing it though. That's a fair point. The comics are doing really well, and they do have some hits. I guess, like, you know, you could make the argument that DC has more baggage, had more divided fandom shit, never was really fully on track, even in the Snyder days. So maybe this is kind of the best they can get, and hopefully you build more momentum, and then maybe 10, 15 years. I mean, we're talking about a 40 film franchise with Marvel, right? But at the same time, I think the industry is different. I don't think you have the same runway and the same time that Marvel did. And it's not to take anything away from them, but I don't think even Marvel is necessarily really resting on those laurels as much. Marvel found a way to re-energize, or like re-engage the fans. So I don't know. That's just my thoughts on it. I was one of those kids growing up who was Team Marvel, never really kept up with DC besides Batman. Oh yeah, I totally get it. I understand. Different strokes, different folks. I like both. You know, I really do. I really do like both, but I've always been a Marvel head. Like the Marvel just goes crazy with it to me. And I remember being very young, reading shit with like Cable and Apocalypse and just being like, this is fucking crazy, dude. And then Strife, and it's just like so off the wall, balls to the wall crazy. And DC, although they can do that, and you know, whether it's Morrison's Justice League and his Batman, or you know, Final Crisis, a lot of the Crisis events are really crazy. The sort of day-to-day DC stuff never really appealed to me outside of a few select stories. Green Lantern, though, was fire. I always loved the Lanterns. I love the Lanterns. I thought the Jeff Johns, Ethan Van Sciver run of Lanterns is like all-time great. Yeah, it's just like, you know what I'm saying? I don't know if you guys don't understand what I'm saying, but it's like, damn, dude, Marvel's killing it so much. I'm actually starting to feel bad again for DC. Like, we've come full circle where it's not even fun to hate on them because it's just so clear that they're in different leagues, you know? You think Feige could ever run DC? Could we ever get what Marvel is doing with these incredible DC characters? You know, he interviewed for that job. Like, I don't know if you guys know this, but when Ike Perlmutter was fucking with Kevin Feige shit and he almost left, he actually went and interviewed with Warner Bros. He was going to take over DC. What a different world we'd be living in if that happened. You know? I think Kevin is truly unique. I think he's great. Not everybody agrees. Some people think he gets too much credit. I totally disagree. And also, I've been doing this for 10 fucking years. Shut the fuck up. I know what I'm talking about. But it's not just Kevin either. You know, he has a great system. He's got lieutenants. He's got the support. He's got great actors. But I really think that Kevin does a lot of stuff that people don't give him credit for. And I think that, you know, James Gunn is obviously learning just how difficult that job is. There's so many spinning plates. It's more than just production. You have to have promotion. You have to be hype minded. You have to build the thing correctly. You have to make the job of the actors easy as possible. You got to make the job of the directors as easy as possible. It's a very complicated, like, it's like really fucking hard, dude. You know? Terry McGinnis Batman is the only rival DC has to Spider-Man. They need to get the hell out of whatever they've redone crap they're trying to sell. It clearly don't work. Yeah, I think they are doing a lot of stuff that clearly doesn't work, right? I mean, we're not crazy. I think we're seeing a lot of that, right? It would be a dream come true if one day DCU MCU Barbenheimer event on the big screen, 2 comic book movies dominated the box office. I'm telling you, like, I really do. Like, I would really like that. I would really like that. And I just feel like the Gunverse, it's just not it. And maybe it can get there, but like there's just not even like hype. Like we're not even really thinking about what it could be. At least I'm not. Like I have what do I have to latch on to? Like what do I have to latch on to? What do I have to look forward to? Why would I believe they're capable of doing that? Because at the end of the day, you know, look, we got a lot to talk about. We're going to nerd vent. There's going to be another 3-hour stream at least. It's going to be a long stream today. But it's like one of the things that Doomsday is clearly going to benefit from is having come from the same studio that did Endgame and Infinity War. That shit was crazy. It was like the story the whole world was dialed into, right? So simply because they have already proven they can do spectacle at that level, I would argue that's a large part of why people are buying into Doomsday. And DC just doesn't have that. They don't have a single thing that's even close. You know? And how do you then sell that if you have no evidence of being able to do it? It's crazy. Lanterns is way better because it was in development since like 2015. Yeah, there's some truth to that. I gotta tell you though, Trev, I don't know how accurate that is, right? Because unless I'm mistaken, you're probably talking about like the Greg Berlanti project and when he was cooking on it. I don't think they're actually the same project. It could be accurate to say that there were a lot of work done on the idea of what a Green Lantern show could be, but I frankly think this show is really like a really established guy in Lindelof who knows what he's doing, had great material, had help of Tom King, like, and they got the Slow Horses guy. Like, they just have like a really talented team, right? But we're one episode in. I mean, I'm liking it too, but we're one episode in, and we don't even know how this would end. But like, you got to think about from the Marvel perspective, it's like they've done this level of stuff, albeit in the movies more than TV, but they've done that level of stuff consistently over and over again, had connective tissue built off of threads, connected stories, paid things off. Like, it's one thing to have a great team that can come in and make a great show, and even that's really challenging. But like, what we're talking about is on another level, right? Which ultimately, even though we got haters and even though we don't all agree, frankly, that's kind of why we're here. We wouldn't be here. I certainly wouldn't be here if Marvel hadn't succeeded in the way that they did, right? So it's like, you know, the conversation is just, the conversation almost has itself, you know? So maybe I'll stop yapping. But I think you guys get it. I just wanted to extend an olive branch to the DC fans. That's all. All right, let me catch up on a couple other chats here. Zach Deck says with a 5 spot, Feige coming back for vengeance. He ain't messing around with the haters. White hair freak is so cooked. Oh, no, we don't, you know, I was trying to be nice today, but yeah, that white hair balding freakazoid. Freakazoid. He's done. He'll never work in this town again. But honestly, even that is like, does that even change anything for DC? I'm starting to think that might not even be the antidote, to be honest. Maybe they just bring Zach back. Raji says, just a reminder for people who can't make it, I have committed, and the MegaCon crew have also committed to going to MegaCon every year in February or March. And one of these years, I'll come down there too. I'll come down there too someday. Jedi John says, Nerd Vengeance for 59 months. We back, baby. Appreciate y'all. We eating good, nerds. Much love. Text Ventures for life. Yeah, appreciate it, man. And it has been a long ride. 59 months, that's a ton. Look at this, 68 months over here with JJ Lamont. Holy shit. I came here for the Great Order and stuck around and sub because you're pretty cool, man. Hashtag unity forever. Dang, the Great Order. Now, that's a name I haven't heard in a long time. Remember when I cared so much about Star Wars? I was going to create some kind of fan movement that would inject positivity into the fandom. Look how far we've come. Now I'm probably the most toxic person that talks about Star Wars on the internet. And yet you're still here. Appreciate you, baby. I guess I was doing something right. Number one, Josh Slurper. Love that name. Says, Terry McGinnis, Batman is the... Oh, wait, I already read that. Hey, maybe I just wanted to read your name again. DC lives in the wake of Marvel. Ups and downs. Fair. I think that's probably generally true. The Pizza Line says, keep you upbeat. The Heather Love. Josh, oh my God, you motherfuckers. Corey says, how do I get in the Discord? The link doesn't work. Somebody, Zach says, why do you hate my name? I don't hate your name. Yeah, how do you get in the Discord? Probably got to get the link from somebody in chat here. I'll eventually fix it on YouTube too. I'll eventually do that. You're playing with your BFF? I don't want war, Heather. Yeah, no. Fuck that shit. James says, in January, I sent a super that I was going to be a new father. Happy to announce my daughter was born healthy. This is a different kind of happiness. Absolutely, man. Congratulations, James. I'm sure that you and Mama both did a great job. Her more than you. But that's absolutely incredible, man. And it is a different kind of love. It's a different kind of feeling. Welcome to the club, and you're in for an adventure. You are absolutely in for an adventure. So buckle up. Buckle up, baby. Number one, Josh Slurper says, do I tell the casuals that say if Toby dies in the beginning, they'll walk out of the theater, he's not actually dead? Or do I let him go? Oh, that's a good question. That's a good question. I don't know how to answer that. I guess you want them to stick around, but I'm going to be pretty interested in how fans react overall because, look, as I said, we're actually going to go over that on a topic because it's fucking brutal, dude. A lot of new leaks are out there, and I see these leaks, and I'm like, oh my God, dude. Like, the kids are going to cry. Like, the kids are going to cry. Like, that's I might cry, dude. I might cry. I actually was rewatching Spider-Man No Way Home last night. So good. Everybody, everybody tries to retroactively shit on that movie. Fuck them. That movie's amazing. So fun. I love the chemistry between the Spider Bros. But I was watching that movie thinking about Toby, and I just really like him in that movie, and we're gonna see that same guy back again, and then he's gonna go through some shit, and I'm just like, oh man. Oh man, all those kids know who Toby are us. Yeah, that's true. We're the kids that know Toby. It's true. You're right. We're all gonna cry. The other kids are like, who's that other Spider-Man? Why is Dad crying, Mama? That was Spider-Man like 20 years ago, and your dad's just having a hard time with it, Appreciate you guys, man. Thank you. Okay, I think I caught up on all the chats. If I missed it, I'm sorry. YouTube doesn't do a good job of making that work. Hey, Pavic, what up, buddy? Much love to you, brother. Much love. R.I.P. to Toby. Yeah, I know, right? Disney announced that D23 is back next year in Asia. So instead of 10 p.m., there'll be a 7 a.m. stream. Awesome. They're really testing me, huh? Did I miss yours? Knock, knock. Let me see. They're really trying to test me, man. They're like, oh, he does really good on these streams, huh? Well, how's a 10 p.m. sound, huh? Oh, you could do that? Oh, let's see you drink 2 bottles of mead at 7 a.m. Don't worry, I will. Nuck Nuck says, hey, these last 3 years have been the most difficult of my personal life. I'm happy to say I'm finally through it, and things are great now. Thank all y'all for being there for me. Nerdvengers for life. Let's fucking go. Look, man, I've had ups and downs. Last couple of years been crazy. Totally understand. And I bring this up a lot because I get a lot of these messages where people are like, hey man, your shit really helped, or like the community really helped. Like, thank you. Look, all I can say is I've been there. And I've been in places where you're so off course, or maybe some really bad shit happened to you or whatever, and you're just feeling a certain way, or maybe you're just mentally not all there. And sometimes we need things that we can just grab onto, whether it's like a streamer that you like, whether it's a show that you binge, maybe it's a comfort movie, movie entertainment. These kind of things can be an anchor for us when we're in a low point. So as silly as it seems, because sometimes I'll be like, am I wasting my fucking life? Because I just get up here and talk about like Doctor Doom and all that, but it's good to remind ourselves that you never know how that's gonna help somebody, and it's okay. Like, just do your thing and let the chips fall where they may. So happy to hear that you're through the darkness. Welcome to the light. But also, if you're a Toby fan, you're going to go right back to that darkness. Rossi, thank you for a gifted membership, man. Really appreciate it. D23 2027, mimosas, bacon, and waffles. That actually sounds incredible, dude. That actually sounds incredible. I'm more of a Bloody Mary guy than a mimosa. But also, hell yeah. Hell yeah. Uno Dub Nintendo with a $10 holla. Really appreciate you, man. Says, my girlfriend works with kids, and when a class of 10-year-olds asked to watch Spider-Man, she puts on the 2002 movie. They said, what the fuck is this? This isn't Spider-Man. So when she asked who, they said Miles Morales. Oh, wow. How about that? Yeah, I think Miles is incredibly popular. Those animated movies were a huge boon to that character, so I think that's awesome, man. And I think Miles is a great character. I'm excited to see more Miles. It's actually funny, there's that moment in No Way Home, watching it last night, and where he's like, you're from Queens, you help a lot of poor people out, I just thought you were black. And your girlfriend's like, oh, I'm sorry, man. And he's like, there's got to be a black Spider-Man out there. Everybody's basically thinking of Miles when that scene's going on. So yeah, I think that Miles is a long time coming, and it'll be cool. But also, you need these kids educated. Like, are you kidding me? Like, Toby's Spider-Man 2? Like, watch that shit. Thanksgiving scene? Like, get out of town. Get out of town. Or maybe that was in Spider-Man 3. But, yeah, these kids need educated. They have bad parents because they should definitely have known about Toby. But also, it's cool that Miles is popular. Miles is a cool character. All right, ladies and gents. Give me just 1 second. I want to go adjust the thing because it's actually getting a little hot in here. So I'm going to go take my pants off. Wasn't a fan of Pedro casting at first. He sold me in First Steps, though. The way he plays feeling of being betrayed in the new trailer is perfect. Yeah, he is a really good actor, you know. He's somewhat of a controversial figure. I think he doesn't know shit, and he's a dumb actor and probably shouldn't speak on things at all that are serious, but that's just my opinion. I also try not to let that shit get to me because whatever, man. Like, why would I be bothered about what an actor's saying? I know they don't know anything about anything, and I mean like anything. So it doesn't really bug me as much. But yeah, he's a really, really good actor. He's really good at pretending to be somebody else. And I'm excited to watch him in this Doomsday movie. It's going to be a good read that Doom's going to take everything from. Thanksgiving scene is Spider-Man 1, is it? Okay. That scene's funny, dude. I like that scene. All right, guys, give me 1 second. I'm going to go take my shorts and underwear and socks off. And I'll be back. Give me just a minute. Ha ha! Ha ha! I sound like that guy from One Piece. Ha ha! Or no, it's Black Clover. Black Clover. What a goated anime. Hey, do we have any Black Clover haters? Hey, chat, real quick. Any Black Clover haters out there in the chat? It's an anime thing, so maybe not all y'all know what I'm talking about here, but any haters? The smell in that room? Hell yeah. Hell yeah, it's real stinky. Black Clover is good. Did we just become best friends? Do you want to go do karate in the garage? Screw Black Clover, Naruto clone. Yeah, I was waiting for it. Ban him! Ban him! Ban him! No, I'm just kidding. I really like Black Clover. I think it's super underrated. The manga is better. Yeah, the manga's cool. The manga is cool. I like Black Clover, man. I'm excited for the new season. Okay, chat, should we get into some of this shit? Should we get into some of this shit? I need a better, like a stand for my notes or whatever. Nah, the guy with the mirror magic creeping on his little sister is weird. Ha ha! Is he, though? No, it is super weird, but what do you want? It's anime. Rossi says, that's a nice Legends of Zelda shirt you're wearing. Oh, no, it's okay. You're uneducated. Let me educate you real quick, Rossi. This is the symbol of the Dark Angels, and I'm so glad you brought it up because now I get to flex the back. Whoa! Whoa, what? The Dark Angels. Never forget. Never forgive. And that means Rossi. Never forget Rossi. Never forgive his ass either. Yeah, fuck you, Rossi. That's Gandalf? What? So listen, Linda, I'm going to play Dark Angels tonight. On stream, live. Live tonight. For the Warhammer Wednesday stream. Come on by, 7 p.m. tonight. Okay, kill the music. Let's make some donuts here. Oh, yeah. Darth Saber says, good morning, Joshy. I'm so stoked for this mall watch party stream. Woo, you're going to love it. Get the fuck out of here, you Star Wars fan. Didn't you see the sign? It's official. Cosplaying as Doom for opening day. Are you really? Nice, man. I don't know if I should cosplay or not. I don't know. That's a good question, actually. Should I cosplay? Should I cosplay? Are you still streaming Saturday? Yeah, actually, guys, that's a good. Thank you for bringing that up. This Saturday we're gonna do another deep dive stream. Okay, so if you're jumping into the stream, if you're a member, this is gonna be a members only stream. We've been doing these. I think we've done 4 so far. We're catching up on the Marvel movies before Doomsday, deep diving on them. It's been really, really fun. So this Saturday we're gonna do Days of Future Past. Not just because it's super dope and I like that movie, but because apparently that is overall the X-Men that we will meet in Doomsday. Pretty crazy. So we'll break all of that down. Come on by on Saturday morning, 11 a.m., okay? All right, guys, let's talk box office here, okay? And let me get a couple of things pulled up for you. Jay Robbins says 36 months, 3 years of Nerdvention, and strangely, my life is turning around in ways I never thought imaginable and growing in places I never thought possible. Nerdventures for life. Yeah, look, results may vary, but basically when you become a Nerdventure, you get tapped into this like sort of communal level of positive energy and magic that we have. It's absolutely incredible. It'll make you wealthier, smarter, more successful, maybe even taller. It'll make you thinner in places you want to be thinner. It'll make you thicker in places you want to get thicker, longer where you want to be longer, shorter where you want to be shorter. It's basically a cure-all for every problem that life could ever throw at you. Become a member today. Results may vary. Don't sue me. All right. The beverage placement is giving you anxiety. Is it too close to my elbow? Where should I put it? Where should I put it? I'm just kidding. Results definitely vary. Yeah, true facts. John Saber, Josh, you could easily play a better Reed. Pascal is so meh. Plus kind of creepy with his anxiety and touching people. Yeah, I mean, why doesn't he just be like every other man on the planet and touch yourself when you have anxiety? Jesus, what's wrong with this guy? Baron Zemo says, thoughts on the listed Marvel release of essential projects to watch before Doomsday? That's a great question. Can you bring that up a little bit later again, brother? Because I'll pull those up. We can talk about it. That would be a good section, but I'm kind of cooking here. The lid? Ain't need no lid, dog. We ain't need no lid. I ain't got time for lids. Oh my gosh, you guys keep sending in chats right when I'm about to start the segment. I appreciate all the support, but can we time it just a little bit better? Not gonna lie, I've been waiting for you to open cupped coffee and spill every single stream. 32 months with the squad. Hope you and yours are doing well. I appreciate you, bro. Thank you so much. Thank you, man. Much love. Much love. It is a pretty fun community that we have, huh? We've been having a lot of fun over the years. There's ladies in the chat. I'm pretty sure any ladies that have lived amongst men for any amount of time absolutely understand what and who we are. And God bless them for putting up with us anyways. Just Jack says, please watch the Rogue Cut and Secret Wars started filming. Yeah, the Rogue Cut, I've never seen it. We should do a watch party for that, actually. And yeah, we're going to get into the filming thing. That's actually next on the list because I'm excited that we're filming. All right? All right, guys, I'm going to get into this. I'll get back in the chat in a little bit here. Don't worry, don't worry, don't worry. So, Marvel fatigue, huh? Comic book movie fatigue, huh? I think fucking not. What am I talking about? I'm talking about the absolutely ridiculous numbers that are coming out with regards to the opening box office for Avengers Doomsday. This is a piece that Boss Logic did. Really like it. Super funny and quite on point for what is happening. Check this out. Avengers Doomsday is currently tracking to open close to $1.5 billion worldwide. What the fuck, dude? That doesn't even make any sense. That doesn't even make any sense. Look, I don't know. I am even having trouble processing what this all means because the Spider-Man success, I still can't really wrap my head around it. You know, opening to $800 plus million. No, it was $900 plus million. Opening to almost $1 billion worldwide for a Spider-Man movie is truly something special. And I didn't think that those numbers would hit ever again. Especially last year. You know, you go over that terrible ass Anthony Mackie Captain America movie, and that thing deserved all the shit, and it deserved to bomb. But then you get into Thunderbolts, and Thunderbolts is good, and it bombed. And you're like, uh-oh. I think we might be in trouble. Then Fantastic Four loses me $500 to Brandon Davis, who turned around and used that on Hot Toys anyways. Got to respect that. But still, I didn't like that because I wanted to buy Warhammer with it. But we lose, and Superman outperforms the Fantastic Four. But the asterisk there is, like, even Superman didn't really light the world on fire. Superman's box office is not that good. I know a lot of people think it is. You're dumb. It's not. It's actually really not. And I think the box office for the Marvel movies this year sort of proved that. Spider-Man opening where it is, ridiculous. When Spider-Man opened that way, what happened in this particular community and in our chats, Discord, Twitter, etc., was a serious consideration that Spider-Man might outgross Avengers Doomsday. And I think that that was because of the movies last year and a lot of stuff I just talked about, right? Like the comic book movie fatigue, questions about how this industry is handling things. I actually kind of even bought into it myself. I was like, wow, like, dude, the Spider-Man movie might go for like 2.3 or something. That's insane. And the worry with Marvel, like there were people last year saying, what if Doomsday doesn't make $1 billion total? And again, considering what was going on there, those people were not insane. That conversation deserved to be had. It all made sense. Well, now we're looking at this $1.5 billion opening worldwide. It's tracking 60% higher in pre-sales than Spider-Man. Right? So there's absolutely insane Spider-Man numbers that we just like, what? Like out of nowhere, Doomsday is legitimately tracking higher than that. And this, I think, changes the narrative quite a bit. This fact will actually tie into some other things we're going to talk about today, like Robert Downey Jr.'s return. Because once upon a time, I told you that some people suggest that Marvel can't afford Robert Downey Jr. And I told you, if these next two Avengers movies are incredibly successful, then you'd have to actually make the opposite argument. You'd have to admit they can't afford not to have Robert Downey Jr., okay? And this suggests a couple of different things. I do wonder, chat, where do you think this lands the movie? Because now we have to have a conversation that we never thought we'd have. Is it possible Doomsday outgrosses Avengers Endgame? And Avengers Endgame will also get a pretty nice little boost, I think, with its new Redux, Redo, Remix, the re-release of Avengers Doomsday, which is happening next month, believe it or not, will probably boost that box office even higher. But even with that boost, we are actually looking at a scenario where Doomsday could outgross Avengers Doomsday. And look, with inflation, probably not, right? You gotta, inflation's been pretty crazy. You gotta think about that. You gotta consider that. But inflation has been a part of this story for the last several years. And things were so bad last year that like the inflation thing was a footnote. It didn't really matter as much because like it was so obvious that the sky was falling. Now things are so successful that we need to put an asterisk in there just to explain the difference with the inflation, right? To sort of give you a better perspective. But nonetheless, this is incredible success. So first thing I want to know before I get into some of my takes about this, do you think this thing has a chance to beat Avengers Endgame? Chat, what do you think? Yes or no? You think we're beating Avengers Endgame here or not? What do you think? Will it actually grow if they are changing the movie? That's a good question. I suppose you could make the argument it's a separate film, but they'll probably still count it towards Endgame. Because didn't even some of the Avatar movies, and in what was it, Titanic, doesn't he do like some George Lucas shit where they fix it up a little bit? Wow, look at all these people that think it's going to beat Endgame. Guys, do we realize how crazy that is? Like, can we just take a step back? Take a step back. Think about last year. Think about the last couple of years, which I, addressed at the top of the stream today. You think about the context, and we're actually having a conversation about this movie beating Avengers Endgame. That's insane. That's absolutely insane. Okay, so why? Like, how? Like, why and how? How is this a thing? Okay, and I think there's a couple of different things going on here. I think number one, fans are clearly proving and basically screaming at the studios that they're done with the C-level, B-level, side story quest thing. There was a time where it was perhaps acceptable. There was a time where it was maybe even necessary. And it did help to flesh out a lot of what then became the status quo of these comic book universes, right? But I think it's pretty obvious that we're not going in that direction anymore, and the fans are speaking pretty loudly about that, okay? And this reminds me of a take that Todd McFarlane had, and he actually said this a couple of years ago, because, again, like, if you're in the nerdy space, it's been an ongoing conversation, man. Like, the sky was falling, the bottom was falling out, and a lot of people were analyzing it. And I remember this conversation on, I think it was comicbookmovie.com, and Todd McFarlane is asked about this. And Todd's take, it really resonated with me. And he essentially said, well, we've been seeing this in the comic book industry for decades and decades and decades. There's certain characters are your A tier. Certain characters are, he called them players because he's thinking in baseball terms. He's like, you got your A players, you got your B players, you got your C players, and you got your D players. And, can you sell a B or a C player or a B or a C comic book movie? Can you sell that? Yes, you can, but can you consistently sell that? The argument he made was, you look at the first Captain Marvel movie, that's like a B, C tier character that you place in between your two big events. And in the comic books, they do that all the time. Like, you can get a C character to sell if you connect that C character seemingly to a big event or something like that, or you do a real gimmicky new number one. But can that C or B level character actually hold audience for weeks and weeks and years to years? And that's just proven to not be true. Certain characters are just constantly getting their shit canceled, or they've never had a solo series, or they had one or two solo series and it gets canceled. And the reality is, you've got your A and your B team. Batman consistently sells bajillion comics a year, like, no matter what. And same with Spider-Man. Even though people don't even like some of the Spider-Man books, Spider-Man sells like that, okay? Also, one of the things that Todd said was that Guardians of the Galaxy might have actually been a false positive for them. And I want to really hone in on this, because I think this is the thing this is actually a big reason why I think James Gunn is failing. Guardians of the Galaxy was a false positive. Marvel literally took the perspective that they could make anything happen. And in a way, they had to get really scrappy. They had to get really scrappy because they didn't have the X-Men. They didn't have Spider-Man. They actually had to buy back licenses, and they could only afford people like Iron Man, Thor, Hulk, Black Widow, certain characters like that. They had a list of 10 characters that they buy back when they're creating Marvel Studios, and from that list, they pick Iron Man as the first one. Now, I would even argue that Iron Man at the time was not necessarily A level, but he was at least B level. He had cachet. People liked him. He was a popular enough character, but he's damn sure not the X-Men. He's damn sure not the Fantastic Four. He's damn sure not these other more popular characters like Spider-Man, okay? And so, in a sense, you can understand why Marvel, using scraps, building those characters up, had a confidence that they could maybe do that with any kind of character. And then the Guardians of the Galaxy thing, it hits at this perfect time. Again, the party's popping. People are looking for all sorts of Marvel stuff, and it's a huge hit, okay? But I think it became a false positive, because then they thought they could do that with any and every character. And I think the real story of Phase 4 and 5 is like, no, you fucking can't. Like, period. No, you fucking can't. And I think also, as comic book movie fatigue was on the rise, there's just less of an acceptance of all that sort of stuff. People get more discerning. People are looking for other things. And so that disparity actually grew. So I think what you're looking at with Doomsday and what you're looking at with Spider-Man is a sort of cows come home kind of a moment where you realize, oh, just like in comic books, if you really want to sell, you have to either eventize or throw together a bunch of the popular characters, and people will really get jazzed for it. It's hard to sell these little niche things, these little like side story things. For those that are super in it, that read everything, maybe they gravitate towards those things because they're a little bit different. And, you know, James Gunn is one of those guys. He's the back of the comic book shop guy. He's that pedantic kind of nerd that loves all the deep cuts and the goofy ass characters and things of that nature. He was great for Guardians. But again, if that's a false positive, and then you look at Gunn outside of the Guardians movie, he basically doesn't make money in the box office, guys. Like, I don't know what to tell you. And I think that that's because of his taste not matching up to the 4-quadrant mass appeal audience taste that people have, right? So I think that's like a really big part of why Doomsday is cooking the way that it is cooking, because essentially, like, you got all these comic book fans, they're still down, dude, but they didn't go see shit for the last 3 to 5 years. Look at the numbers, dude. The bottom falls out, you know, like it's crazy. And with this movie and with Spider-Man, you've got massive characters. You got Spider-Man, Hulk, Punisher, Jean Grey in that movie. That's a great big event thing. That would be like a crazy Spider-Man book to read, right? So that works. Doomsday, you got basically every character under the sun. RDJ is back as Dr. Doom, and he's really selling you. You know, he's only said like 2 or 3 lines, like total in these trailers, but I don't see a single fucking hater left, dude. Like, there's some people that are being weird about it, like, oh, it should still have been somebody else. But the thing is, his performance speaks for itself. It's spooky. It's chilling. He is Doom. I can't believe it. He is Doom. And so you have all of that excitement built in with his return. He's selling you on it. There's spectacle there. It's insane. This also probably forces Marvel's hand a bit to create the X-Men saga in a way where you are doing the most popular characters, where you are going big for spectacle. And I honestly think this probably bodes well for fans, but if you were a fan of these obscure characters and stuff like that, I don't think you're going to get a lot of content, man. I don't even know if they're going to do Champions anymore. Like, I wouldn't do Champions. Why would you do Champions when you have the X-Men? You know what I mean? It just doesn't make sense. So I kind of feel like this is the audience speaking quite loudly about what they want, and I think Marvel will listen. Marvel's pretty good at listening to that. Now, before we get out of here on this one, I wanna talk about Secret Wars, because I always thought, even years ago when this thing was being planned, I always thought Secret Wars was going to be the one. Okay, and it's a sequel. And if you look at Infinity War and Endgame, yeah, Infinity War crushes. But Endgame just, I mean, it made all the money, dude. It was the biggest one. And there's a lot of reasons why, but essentially Infinity War is almost like the greatest trailer of all time. It's the preface. It's like this prologue. It's the setup. It's the part 1. It's not the conclusion. And so I think a similar thing will happen here in Doomsday and Secret Wars. I truly think Secret Wars will be bigger. So first of all, let me just ask you guys, do you agree that Secret Wars will be bigger? And if Doomsday makes $3 billion, how high could Secret Wars go? Because I think it's going to go pretty fucking high, dude. Like, doesn't it make sense that it would? And then it's like, look, all of a sudden, frankly, the entire conversation around Marvel changes. Dude, if it makes $4 billion, then, like, look the fuck out. Hollywood's going to be on their knees crawling to Marvel Studios. You know what I mean? Like, seriously. Look at how the cinema has done. And even your big movies, even your fun things, even the things that have been successful over the last couple of years, there ain't shit compared to what Marvel's about to do this year and next year. Like, there's literally nothing like it. So all of a sudden, the entire conversation around Marvel changes, and all this like doubt, all this hate, all this talk of fatigue, all these talk, it's all just gonna go away. It's all just gonna go away. And man, if they do this, and then they roll into 2028 with X-Men, Ghost Rider, and Black Panther 3, I think X-Men could do Spider-Man Brand New Day numbers. X-Men is hot. What if Ghost Rider cruises to like 800-900 mil? You know, I don't know. I don't expect Ghost Rider to be a $1 billion plus $2 billion movie, but dude, if people are fucking with Marvel heavy again, shit, maybe so. Ghost Rider, by the way, way more popular than goddamn Guardians of the Galaxies. You know what I mean? And then Black Panther 3. If you really have Denzel and you're doing some Storm Mutant stuff, you've got a new Black Panther. I mean, it has all the ingredients, man. Black Panther 3 could really pop the fuck off at the end of that year. And then we're just in the Mutant Saga and they're cooking again. That's a comeback that, I mean, I think Kevin, even before, like, let me just say, I'm obviously a glazer. I glaze Feige. I think he's the GOAT. But at this point, if he actually turns this thing around, like legitimately, if he built what he built up to Endgame, and then obviously, yes, it does fall apart, but then he builds it back? If he actually builds it back, if this machine gets running again, brother, give him the crown. Give him the keys of the kingdom. Like, that's unfucking believable, dude. That's unfucking believable. How could you hate on him after that? Like, how could you not say he was the greatest producer of all time after this? You know what I mean? Like, it's just insane. And look, to me, the reason I really, really like this, and I know I'm fucking yapping, I'm gonna stop. I want to see what you guys are saying about this. But let me just say so one more thing, okay? To me, even in the run-up to Endgame, I would tell people, and I would try to explain to them, oh, this isn't just like some nerdy thing that I love. I think it's the greatest achievement of nerdy entertainment ever. And I think it's something that, like, redefines the space. Like, essentially, this is, like, it's more than that. This is greatness. Like, we're watching greatness. We're watching something we might never see again. And it was more than just fun comic book movies to me. Like, what he was doing, what he was able to do back then, and I think that the degree to which he succeeded was also sort of the way we juxtapose the failure. It's what made the fall off hurt so bad, because you had people that were like, dude, this is different. This is greatness. We all love watching greatness. You love watching the great fighter. You love watching the great athlete, you know? We love greatness. And to me, Marvel's success was not just some fun, nerdy shit that was good at making movies. They changed the fucking industry. They changed fandom. They changed the world. And to see it now come up again and maybe be able to re-solidify itself, stick its flag back in the ground to prove that maybe I was right, like, it's just, it's really unbelievable. It's really something worth just taking a beat and considering, because there's a lot of mediocrity out there. There's even a lot of good out there. But greatness, that's few and far between. Prolonged, extended greatness, that's really rare. Greatness that redefines itself is incredibly rare. Like, it's just mind-blowing. So I you know, I'm done yapping about it. But what do you guys think of this, man? Let me know. Am I glazing? Did I go a little too hard on the glaze? Did I glaze too hard? Is it Krispy Kreme up in this bitch? What do you guys think? We had 7 years of BS. Yeah, there was a lot of BS for sure. A lot of BS. Which Doom suit do you prefer over the two we see in the trailer? Oh, dude, I do not love the one with the single clasp. I like the one with the band around. That shit's dope. You don't glaze enough, in my opinion. Yeah, the hot light's on. I should get a Josh's glazing that looks like the Krispy Kreme sign. That would be kind of funny. As my teenagers would say, the glaze is real. They'd be so proud of you. They'd be so proud of you for knowing that nomenclature. Ray movie gonna outmatch Doomsday? I didn't know we had some comedians in chat. So cool. Ah, man. There's so much stuff that can happen in Doomsday, and people are going wild for Doom. So I'm thinking it beats Spider-Man and blows past Endgame. That would be, but isn't that fucking insane? Like, isn't that crazy? Darren Thompson says, please cover the new Incursions crossover comics. Yeah, I actually have that bookmark. We can go over that in a little bit here. Finto182 says, 64 months is wild. Time is flying. Have a good day, buddy. Take my money. No Avengers for life. Hopefully Unity before GTA 7. I promise. Wait, which one is about to come out? 6? Which one's about to come out before I say this? I promise Unity will arrive before GTA 8. Just to be safe. Appreciate you, buddy. Thank you. Samuel, here I am, says, would you prefer RDJ play both Doom and Stark after Secret Wars, or we get a new Iron Man in RDJ stays Doom? You know, to be honest with you, I'm good with both as long as we keep RDJ in some way. And look, his turn as Doom seems incredible. So I'm vibing on that. Like, you could have said 6. I'm vibing on that, right? I wouldn't mind seeing another actor tackle Robert Downey Jr., but look, we're going to get into that. That's actually a segment coming up. And I truly think there's a lot more story to tell with RDJ's Doctor Doom, especially if you consider what might happen in Secret Wars and how we might recontextualize his identity and then how he might have to deal with that afterwards. Plus, I kind of like the idea of like how would the whole world react to Tony Stark coming back? Like, do you know what I mean? Like, seriously, think about that. How would the Marvel Cinematic Universe, just the people, damage control? You know, they fucking shot Peter as he's mourning Aunt May. Damage control fucking shoots him in the arm. I forgot about that shit. I was watching the movie last night. They shoot him in the arm. So they have his tag. Anyway, you're ruining my segment in a little bit here. But yeah, I actually think both would be good. Rossi says, Big Kev has saved himself just like Heather. God damn it, Rossi. Do you think Doom discovers 616 Tony via time slipping into him? Is that even possible? Ooh, that's kind of an interesting idea. I don't know if that's possible. I think something like that could be really cool. Right now, I'm starting to believe that when Tony snapped and died, that Doom maybe had a dream of it. So, sort of similar to Stephen Strange having that dream in Multiverse of Madness at the beginning. So something like that could be cool. Russian hackers are the voice actors. They get scripts individually and collate them on Telegram. Ask me how I know. How do you know that? How do you know that? Heard you were joinking it this stream? Dude, yeah, I've been joinking it for an hour and 3 minutes. Don't watch the mouth. Watch the hands. Anyway, I died a little inside finding out that RDJ is a Steelers fan. You must be a Browns fan then. You must be a Browns fan. You know that song, Cleveland Rocks? No, it fucking doesn't. Sorry, bud. I think we get a recast at Iron Man, so new Iron Man trilogy could be the way into the MCU post-Secret Wars, following time period where RDJ Doom is infamous Iron Man. I don't think that's a bad idea, but there's just evidence to the counter, you know? And we'll get into that. If there's no connection between Tony and Doom, it's a miss, in my opinion. Oh, don't worry. Oh, Bills fan living in PA? Okay, gotcha. Okay, well then you also probably hate Cleveland too. Remember when we used to all be in the same division? What division are you guys in now? You play the fucking Dolphins, don't you? What's up with that? You know, we're in the snow belt. The hell are you doing playing the Dolphins? And how do the Dolphins feel about having a division rivalry where it's fucking snowy? It's crazy. Crazy. I can't tell if those Toby and Hugh leaks are real. Yeah, we'll go over it. Okay, should we get into this Tony Stark thing? Because I was going to talk about Secret Wars, but it feels like this is a good segue to get into the Tony Stark bit, huh? Josh, maybe it's Pepper Potts and short-haired Morgan Stark on Doom's mural from another universe. Look, I get it, guys, and maybe, but there's just no evidence of that. Division rivalry is a stretch. Fair. Did you see the 5-week hiatus for Secret Wars? I did. That's in my notes too. Yeah. This connection is a big misdirection. I guess we'll see. You know, this whole thing is feeling very similar to another event that we had to debate about for over a year, and that would be Jean Grey. So I remember all these same conversations. You know, I remember all these same things where she can't possibly be Jean. Why would they put her Jean into a Spider-Man movie? You're wrong. She's not Jean Grey. She's Typhoid Mary. She's Shakira, and her hips don't lie. So it's not my first rodeo. You guys are wrong. I'm right. And you'll find out, just like you did with Jean Grey. I'll be here all week, except tomorrow. I'm taking another day off. Matt Klein, I'm a Lions fan, but I'll admit you're right. Right about what? How come I'm not getting in on this conversation? What did Matt say? What did Matt even say? What if Pepper is Valyria? You know, I just really respect the creativity that you guys have in chat. You know, it's so interesting. It's so interesting. Okay, let's talk about Tony. Let's talk about this shit. So it's a bit controversial. I think some fans are going to struggle with this a bit, but it looks like Tony Stark will be back. RDJ as Tony Stark will be back. Not just for Secret Wars, although that's obviously a thing, but in the MCU proper. Okay, now this is coming from a couple of different people. It came from My Time to Shine. Hello. It was also corroborated by Gary, Nerderotic, and Gary actually does have pretty good sources. He's not flawless. He's gotten stuff wrong, but everybody gets stuff wrong. So Gary reported that Tony Stark is permanently back in the MCU as RDJ's Tony Stark is permanently back. Now, look. The angle that Gary took was sort of like, I can't believe they're doing this. It's so desperate. He's 60 years old or whatever. Very, very negative on that. But that's like to be expected. Like Gary's just a big hater. He does a lot of schadenfreude. He hates a lot of things. So that doesn't surprise me at all. What I'm more interested in is the fact that Gary does tend to have accurate information. And I don't think he would come out as strong as he did about this unless he was hearing that it was real. By the way, I am also hearing that this is real. I did double, triple check this with several people, and it's real. RDJ will be back as Tony Stark in a post-Secret Wars MCU. Okay, now, there's a couple of different questions over here. There's a couple of different things we got to talk about. I do want to discuss some of the evidence that has always been out there. I'm going to bring out an interview where Downey opens up about the death of Tony Stark and how he never wanted that character to die. Do you guys know this, by the way? Like, do you know that RDJ did not want them to kill off Tony Stark? Do you know that he told the studio that there's a lot more stories to tell with that character of Tony Stark? Do you know that Disney is currently developing a ride that they're spending millions and millions of dollars developing that'll probably be around for 5 to 10 years, in which Robert Downey Jr. has returned as Iron Man? Like, are you paying attention to like what's going on with all that? So listen, let's talk about a couple of different things. There's a money element here. And I think it's fair to say that Downey he costs a lot of money. You know, and all that, by the way, is actually because when he did the first movie, he didn't sign a multi-picture deal. The studio was really nervous. They actually didn't want RDJ. They thought it was too risky. Famously, Terrence Howard had to give $1 million out of his salary just to cover the insurance cost of having Downey on set, because Downey had been out of rehab, Downey had been arrested, Downey was struggling with drug abuse, going through all that sort of stuff. So the studio did not want Downey. They also wanted somebody younger, but Favreau and some others there were like hell-bent on Downey, and they got him. So then when he goes to renegotiate the thing after Iron Man works and made like $600-700 million or whatever it was at the time in 2008, that's a lot of hooch. Okay, so it was a big hit. When he re-signs, he signs the greatest fucking deal ever because he makes over $500 million pre-Doomsday. From Iron Man to Endgame, he literally took in $500 million. It's crazy. And this is why you hear the stories of like Downey's dreamland, and it's even the actors on set for Doomsday would describe like, oh, well, we'd all go to Downeyland for lunch, and it was like this huge tent that he would have out, all these personalized chefs, all this amazing food, because he's fucking balling out. So he's like real life Iron Man. And I think it kind of works at a meta-contextual level, too, because he's that rich, he funds all the Avengers, and then he's super rich, and he funds all the Avengers actors when they're a big part of it, okay? And I know some of these other people are now making a lot more money because they sort of get more and more and more through a legacy contract, but Downey's just like, that contract is, that Iron Man has an ironclad contract, and you're going to have to pay that man his money. However, we just looked at the opening box office for Avengers Doomsday, and it seems to be, unless I'm mistaken, $1.5 billion worldwide in a single goddamn fucking weekend. Okay? So the reality is, look at the box office without Downey, look at the box office with Downey, and then ask yourself, what's really the best thing to do? You might say they can't afford Robert Downey Jr. I would argue they can't afford not to have Robert Downey Jr. as Iron Man. So that's sort of the first thing. And also, too, there was evidence of this. I frankly think he was always going to come back. And I actually think he was always going to come back in a somewhat permanent way. If you look at the interview he did with Joe Rogan back in the day, it's a really interesting interview because, of course, Joe asks him to return. He says something like, if I just put the jersey back on, wouldn't it feel cheap? Strangely enough, Joe's like, no, what if we do this and we need a super genius or whatever, figures out a way forward. But then Downey says this really interesting thing where he's talking about how we're not allowed to take breaks in our society and it's looked down on taking a break. And he kind of like offhandedly says, so it's kind of scary when you think about it. Like, could I take this 4-year break? And the thing about 4 years is the original plan for Secret Wars was that it would come out in 2024, which would roughly be that 4-year break before he comes in and starts filming again for Secret Wars. So they were always going to bring him back. And in fact, let me see if I can pull this up for you. There's an interview where he talks about wanting to come back and also talks about not ever wanting his character to actually ever have been killed off. I think this will open up some of your minds here. So check this out.
High status way, there's just an energy and an intensity to what he does. So, and then take the subject matter. And then the fact that he's asking me to kind of transform into someone who's extremely subtle and plotting, who doesn't have any punchlines, who's only charming when he's trying to end through high status way. There's just an energy and an intensity to what he does. So, and
terrible interview. I don't know why this video is here with this, but this is something that Downey actually said. He said, I made it clear that I didn't want Tony Stark to die. I believe the character still had plenty of story left to tell, but the studio had already made its decision. I didn't feel like a creative discussion, or it didn't feel like a creative discussion anymore. They wanted the emotional sacrifice and the massive box office moment, and my objections didn't change anything. I was basically told to go along with the ending or accept that they would move forward without me. That's not collaboration. That's a studio making the final call and you expecting to follow. So apparently this is an interview that he did, but I believe it's probably a portion where he that's not like the complete take, because I remember him saying, but I was wrong. because he does admit that it's actually good. It works in the story. It's really, really emotional. Jon Favreau has a similar take as well, where like Favreau had said that he was against it. And Favreau had lobbied to Feige and some others and just said, like, I can't believe you're going to kill this character. But just like Downey, Favreau kind of admits that he was wrong about that because it does make this really awesome moment. Terrible video, though. Why is this video here? And why does this have almost 1 million views with the wrong fucking video attached to it? I hate the internet. But the point I'm making is there's actually a lot of precedents that RDJ wanted to do more story with Tony Stark. Okay, now I would like to actually sell you on this, to sell you on why this matters and why we would want Tony Stark back in the Marvel Cinematic Universe. And I think it really does come down to the Doom Stark thing. Now, right now, there's a lot of confusion as to what exactly the connection there could be. Some people believe there's no connection. They're very stupid. Don't listen to them. There's obviously a connection, and in fact, many reliable people have pointed or hinted at this connection being real. Like famously, Campia was asked, is the connection between them explored in Doomsday? And he said no, and it shouldn't be. That's explored in Secret Wars. There's the thing where the Russo brothers say, due to the magic of the Marvel multi-universe, I give you the one person that could play Victor Von Doom for our story, Robert Downey Jr. Do you think they just pulled that out of their ass? No, there's a reason why. I frankly think that the theory of the RDJ Iron Man retcon is correct. I think what the Secret Wars movie will be about is the connection between these two versions of the same being. One of them became Iron Man. One of them became Doctor Doom. And there's this beautiful exploration of nature versus nurture. Because our Tony Stark, if he really was always, biologically speaking, Victor Von Doom, then a lot of the things he did, some of the instincts he had, some of the flashes of darkness that we saw within him could be explained because of his nature. Okay? His nature, his biology, what's inside of him, okay? But the fact that he does become a hero, the fact that he does become a mentor, the fact that he generally becomes a good guy and then makes the ultimate sacrifice, that is due to his nurture. And not just his family, right? But there is a lot to do with his family, but really a lot of that has to do with the Avengers themselves and his relationship with Steve Rogers, which is personally why I think Steve Rogers is so important to Doctor Doom. I think there's a part of that there where Doom sees that Steve Rogers was such a good person and such a great leader and friend that he made a version of himself become a hero truly. Okay? And so I think that that's what will happen. But the reality is, that's not something that can be completely explored in a Secret Wars movie, because Secret Wars ultimately has to be a movie about defeating Doctor Doom and about restoring the multiverse. And there's a lot of elements. There's probably a lot of different things going on in the Secret Wars movie, but essentially you just can't make it 2 or 3 hours of therapy session between a variant of Victor Von Doom and Victor Von Doom himself and exploring all of these different ideas. So I think that if we accept that that's real, and then we think about Tony Stark back in the Marvel Cinematic Universe with that context, there's a hell of a lot of interesting stories to explore with that guy. How would he feel going back to his old life, realizing that biologically speaking, he is Doctor Doom? How would he feel if he has memories of Secret Wars and he saw the horrors of a version of him? How would he now recontextualize some of the things that he did, how his weapons are in the world, right? With damage control, having access to Stark tech, you know, that's obviously really, really bad. The creation of Ultron, all of these different things. How would Tony Stark himself deal with that? And then how would he deal with being Tony, being obsessive, trying to fix all the problems, trying to right all the wrongs, and also just have that voice in the back of his head that's saying like, hey, you're being a little Doctor Doom about this. Maybe you should go all the way. And what would that look like? I think that that emotional beat, that conflict, I think it's incredibly interesting. And I think, frankly, like I don't even like Iron Man 3, but imagine doing an Iron Man 3 type of a film that really explores this guy in that position. Like, maybe he comes back to the Marvel Universe and he actually can't be with Pepper and his kid anymore. Not that he doesn't love them, not that he's not happy to see them, but he's so broken inside, he's so confused about who he actually is and how danger follows him and people around him get hurt that he doesn't want to be around them. What if he self-isolates? What if he goes down a really dark path? How would he interact with the rest of the Avengers? How would the world respond to Tony Stark being back alive? And how would Tony deal with the expectations of him coming back? I just think that there's so much to explore with that character. And, you know, we've seen characters like Loki's a really good example that basically arc out, right? Loki literally arcs out. What I mean by that is he had a full arc and he dies in a way that feels like good. It closes his arc. It's actually like really, really good. And yet they grab Loki out of a different moment in time and they pull him in to the Loki show, and he goes on an even better arc. His character arc in Loki is even better than the one he had in the Infinity Saga movies. And now he's about to come back and play this really crucial role in Doomsday and in Secret Wars. So there was so much gas still left in the tank for the Loki character. And Tom Hiddleston, by the way, incredible actor, producer on the show, loves the character, loves the universe, and loves doing great work on a stage where people really care about. So from Downey's perspective, he had the break. He's now come in and he's doing Doom, right? And you can just tell the turn as Dr. Doom, like the turn as Victor Von Doom, has lit a fire in him. He loves the character. He's wearing all the Doom shit. He absolutely loves it. The performance seems incredible, which, by the way, we've not really seen shit from this performance. We've heard a couple of lines. We've seen a little bit here and there. But a lot of the people that actually worked on the movie, they're asked, like, what do you think would be the most surprising thing? Or what do you think the thing fans will freak out about the most? They always say Downey. They're like, Downey as Doom. And I believe it, dude. He's a master of his craft. He understands the space well. I bet his Victor Von Doom will be so authentically Dr. Doom. And really, listen to what I'm about to tell you. Shut your mouth and listen to me. His turn as Victor is going to be so good, so authentic, that it will make his return to Tony all the more interesting. It will be the thing, the weight, the crack. It'll be the good. Because we will never be able to look at Tony Stark quite the same way. He might not be able to look at himself the same way. And I find that incredibly compelling, like really and truly. And I think that Marvel is in a position where I think they're not playing it safe basically in any way. They have the X-Men saga. They're doing some crazy shit in the cosmic verse. There's, I think, potential consequences from Secret Wars that will linger. I also think, by the way, and this one's really wild, apparently he will also remain as Victor Von Doom, if you can believe it. If you can believe it, at the end of all this, it is said that the Fantastic Four 828 universe will be restored and that Victor Von Doom, RDJ's Victor Von Doom, will also remain in the universe. I wouldn't mind a movie that's literally Downey's Tony Stark and Downey's Dr. Doom going out into the multiverse to try to clean up what happened in Doomsday, you know, or in Secret Wars. Like, I know that sounds nuts, but I'm telling you right now, he is the caliber of actor that could actually give us an incredibly compelling story with those two characters together. Or you just save those characters for the next big crazy event thing when the first firmament and the collapse of everything happens again and we heat things up and we're doing the insane spectacle, you know, Avengers thing. I also would love to see Tony Stark with the X-Men. How's Tony going to react to this mutant phenomenon? Especially if he remembers shit from Secret Wars. So there's really hard evidence that this is happening from reliable insiders. I think there's a breadcrumb trail when you look back. I think that them making this new Disney ride where Tony is back and that ride's going to be out for years and years and years. I think that you just have all the signs that he is coming back. And when Downey told Rogan, if I just put the jersey back on, wouldn't it feel cheap? you can almost see right then and there that it was never going to be good enough to just come back. It had to be something that as an actor, he could sink his teeth into, that could be something he could draw on emotionally. And this is one of the most core central questions of the human psyche. Nature versus nurture. Identity, choice, free will. These things matter. And we can explore these concepts beautifully with these dope-ass comic book characters. So I think it's amazing. And I'm really excited to see what he does, because just like what he's going to do with Doomsday and Secret Wars, he had a chip on his shoulder, people doubted him, and he's putting it on the table. And I think he's going to do that again. And if we get Downey for another 10 years in the MCU, I will be incredibly grateful. Like, seriously, this guy's an incredible performer. He doesn't need the money. Legitimately. He likes doing it. I think he's a diva. And he loves that the fans love him. And dude, I'll tell you this, I really do love him. Like, I love this diva. You know, get these whack-ass Phase 4, 5 motherfuckers out of here. Bring back the diva that is RDJ. And I could yap forever about this shit. I mean, he literally made everybody around him better. He made everybody around him better. And he'll continue to do that. So anyway, those are my thoughts on it. RDJ's back as Iron Man, and I feel fine. Chat, what do you think? Did I get lost in the sauce again? Did I get lost in the sauce? Are we glazing? Should we put the glaze sign on? Not sure about 828 and 616 post Secret Wars. I'm just telling you what we're hearing. You know, things change. I could be wrong, but I also, I've been doing this for a while. I tend to be able to read the tea leaves pretty well. That was an incredible segment. You think so? I thought maybe I got a little off the rails, but appreciate it. You usually have to pay extra for that much glaze, but I'm on board. Oh, hell yeah. The sauce enhances you. Hey, I'm glad to hear that. I'm glad to hear that. I mean, I meant it. Came from the heart. Tony with freedom is doom. Tony with Kang is Stark. Yes. Yes. And that would be, I mean, imagine, like, seriously, imagine how you would deal with that. Like, how would you deal with that? Like, there's a gold in those hills, man. Like, that's a compelling, interesting thing. And I think it's exactly that thing when he said, if I just put the jersey back on. It's that word, just. That's what he couldn't abide. You understand? If I just come back, it wouldn't be good enough. And so he's not just coming back. Hot take, but RDJ is better in an ensemble movie than a solo movie. I don't think that's necessarily a super hot take. I think even Downey admitted that at one point. I think even he said that. And by the way, even Ryan Reynolds is starting to understand that about Deadpool. So yeah, I agree. I don't know if that's the hottest take. I'd say it's lukewarm. Maybe mildly hot. Did you notice when Doom summons the Sentinels, it looks like the same green spell in motion when Hela raised the old army of Asgard in Ragnarok? Ooh, I actually did not notice that. I will take a peek at that, and I will take all the credit for it when I make a video explaining that I figured that out on my own. Thank you, sir. Soul Jacker. Appreciate it. Avengers vs. X-Men Civil War would be dope. Hell yeah, it would be. Hell yeah, it would be. RDJ is good anywhere. I agree. You can see a little similarities between Doom and Tony from the trailers alone. Yeah, I think they're doing that on purpose. And again, it's like, it's really fucking bold, dude. That's like a really ballsy thing to do. Like, I bet when they pitched it, like, apparently Bob Iger loved it. Like, Bob Iger loved the idea. But I would imagine a lot of corporate people would be like, wait a minute. So you're going to turn the most popular character we have, played by the most popular actor, and you're going to make it so he was never actually that guy, and he was a Victor Von Doom that got adopted, and they're like immediately out, you know, because they're dumb. And they also think you're dumb. They think audiences are dumb. That's a big reason they don't want to rock the boat like that, because they're like, no, people are very dumb. They can't handle that. But I don't think you're dumb. That's not true. I actually think a lot of you are really dumb. But I don't think you're that dumb. I think you could handle it. I think you could handle it. TT337 says, I don't consider Kang an L from this last phase. Give me the Scarlet Centurion Doctor Doom connection with RDJ, Benefactor, and Reed Richards. Something like that could work. I'm not necessarily totally against that. Baron Zemo says, Doomsday essential viewing list reminder. Okay, thank you. Yeah, let's do that. Let's do that. The Real Dark Boyd says, have you seen the new Marvel X MTG action figures with card? Doom is sick. They're on Hasbro Plus right now. Brother, I already got that shit pre-ordered. Come on now. Come on now. Are you talking about my favorite commander deck? My Doctor Doom. My Doctor Doom commander deck and the new version of him that comes with that action figure? Yeah, I got it. I got it pre-ordered. And it's Doom 2099. It's Doom 2099, that Warren Ellis book. Holy shit, I fucking love Doom 2099. Y'all ever read that shit? Oh, it's good. Oh, it's good. Doom, he's so fucking metal, dude, with the spikes on his shit. And not only that, but and this is the same card, so it's a variant of this card. So I'll have this version, I'll have the 2099 version, and then they're doing another version of this card for Doomsday that they're going to put out for Regal Theaters. Yeah, I'm on it. Appreciate you though, Dark Boyd. Appreciate you. Iced Out Flame says, with a 10 spot, that's very generous, thank you. Makes sense to keep RDJ's Iron Man. We don't need more solo movies, so he leads big event Avengers films and cameos throughout the next saga. We're focusing on X-Men, Midnight Suns, Cosmic Side. Anyways, totally. That's a great point as well. There's so much other stuff they're going to explore. Downey does not need to be in 7 movies, but I think he should be back, and I think that should hang over a lot of shit. And he absolutely needs to be in certain movies that are going to be very big because he is in it. Right? Like, does that make sense? Lee Pace's Magneto, hands down. I love Lee Pace's Magneto, actually. I think that would be incredible. Yeah. Yeah, I'm a fan. I thought Lee Pace was Ronin. He was. But that's okay. We're going to give him a pass. I actually like his Ronin. Yeah, I like his Ronin, actually. Okay, let's talk about these comic books briefly here, because I do think that's kind of interesting. Did you guys see this shit? Sorry, I had to burp. I'm such a pig. So this is kind of interesting, man. This is clearly to connect to DOS Doomsday, but it seems like they're going back to Hickman's Secret Wars, and they're doing a bunch of stories right at the end for Time Runs Out. They're calling it the Untold Stories from When Time Ran Out. It's called Incursions. They even have Brian Hitch doing the cover here, and Brian Hitch did a lot of the that work back then too. Here's the list of them. X-Men Incursions #1 drops in November. Spider-Man Incursions #1 drops in December. Fantastic Four Incursions #1 drops in December. X-Men 92 Incursion #1 drops in January. And X-Men Incursion #1 drops in January. So basically from November to January, leading up to Doomsday, and then right after Doomsday, because, you know, Doomsday will still be in theaters in January, of course. Pretty cool idea. Pretty cool idea. I'm interested. I love that time. It's my favorite time in comics, man. The Hickman, that 4-year run, maybe even 5 years, where he's doing New Avengers, Avengers World, and it leads up to Time Runs Out, and it leads up to the Secret War stuff. It's like my favorite. That's my favorite time in comics ever, man. It was my favorite time in comics ever. And so, hell yeah, it's cool to maybe go back to these, see how all of these will work. Yeah, I mean, that's a dope-ass cover right there. That's fucking crazy. So, yeah, we'll see, man. We will see how that goes. I wonder what you guys think. What do y'all think of that? What do y'all think of that? You know, I almost think, and I know this would be very difficult to pull off, but one of the things we're hearing about this X-Men team in Doomsday is that they've been destroying countless worlds via their incursions and trying to stop the incursions, okay? I wouldn't mind like a 5-6 issue miniseries where we actually see that. And you have the artists actually draw them. So what if we did a Nicolas Cage Ghost Rider universe incursion, you know, and we find out when their Jean Grey died, if Jean Grey died or whatever. Ben Affleck Daredevil. Like, do you know what I mean? Like, come on, like, wouldn't that be hot? I would buy those books. You know, make them giant size issues. Each one's a singular thing. They tie perfectly into the Marvel. I think that would be dope, dude. Andrew Burton says, the metal object from the trailer and toy is Ultimate Nullifier. Doom obtained from Ta-2 and destroys the X-Men universe. Explains, did you do this, Victor? Yeah, I don't think so. I just really don't think so, man. We're going to talk about that, though, because that's a popular theory that fans have for that. I do not think so, brother. And in fact, maybe we could do that segment next. We'll get into it. Moonlighting says, what if the MCU did next Avengers Heroes of Tomorrow with older Tony and the Champions versus Ultron or something? Maybe connected to Vision Quest? I mean, look, you're kind of, it's interesting because I don't like the Champions, but you've immediately made me get down. Like, legitimately, if it was Tony Stark and the Young Avengers doing some crazy timeline shenanigans or something, like, I'm in. And I think that kind of proves the point that, like, RDJ is that fucking guy, man. You know? So I'm not saying they should do that exactly, but I think it kind of proves why he's so valuable to the universe. I like your key theory for it. It looks like it could be a key. Yeah, it could be a key. I actually have a theory today that's even crazier, and I'm going to talk to you about it. It's pretty wild. It's pretty wild. So we'll get into that in just a second. Mr. Super. Okay, let me see here. Aiden. OMG89 says, what you described is a good way to give us a comic-accurate Tony. He's tormented. He gets things wrong. Haunted by guilt. He fucks up a lot. Yep, I absolutely agree. And then Aiden says, is it not weird for 616 to finally have X-Men and Avengers together, but no F4? It really seemed like Feige wanted one universe. I wonder what changed. You know, it's a good question. It's a good question. I will say that the box office for Fantastic Four, followed up by the box office of Mando and Grogu, certainly did not help the idea of a Pedro Pascal, Reed Richards, Fantastic Four doing well. I think Pedro's just overexposed. I think people are just really not fucking with him. Maybe that's a factor. Maybe they absolutely love RDJ's Doom in a way they didn't even expect to, and they were like, "No, we just need to keep that around." Not really sure. Not really sure. It's a fair question. It's a fair question. Maybe, even though they'll be separate universes, maybe there'll be more of a connection there than we think. And maybe there is a Baxter building created on 616. Maybe they even migrate there. You know what I mean? I don't know. There could be a lot of ways to explain it, but it's a fair question. I don't know the answer. It's the key to Sue Storm's room. Bow chicka bow wow. Bow chicka bow wow. All right, should we talk then about the device? I gotta tell you, we got some notes, baby. We got some notes today. We got some shit going on. We're doing some serious nerd venging. I hope you're having a good time. I'm behind on stream, but I really want a new Iron Man and keep RDJ as Doom. I understand. I understand. I get it. The 60s aesthetic is the best thing about the movie. I thought the design was great. That middle sequence with Galactus is fucking incredible, dude. Like, I don't care who you are. You can't watch that sequence and not be thrilled. That shit was amazing. I think the third act is pretty weak. I really like the movie, though. I really like that movie. Won't they just retcon the timeline after Secret Wars? You have most of the characters just in the MCU? That is what we thought was likely, at least partially, the plan. But new evidence suggests that plan has changed. Because the Deadpool universe is back. Look, according to leaks, we don't know. We don't know. The X-Men universe is back. 828 returns. And Iron Man comes back to life in 616. That's apparently what it is. We'll see. Just felt like Rad says with a 29-month message. Papa Josh, wouldn't it make sense if Doom took Loki's multiversal power that he could possess the power of hell in all the multiverse? I don't think Loki has the power of hell. I actually think, I'll tell you this. Let me just I haven't actually said this in a long time, but I'm beginning to think about this idea of infinity beings. And I'm starting to think that what if Doom is actually taking the singularities, the 6 singularities before creation. Remember, before creation, there were 6 singularities. So in a sense, those singularities are outer versal power, and how they manifest in each timeline is through a gem or an ingot, right? So what if that black power is the power of the soul stone? What if the red power is the power of reality, or the reality stone? What if the green power is the power of time, the time stone? And what if there are other things similar, or people or beings that embody that power, and Doctor Doom is just taking possession of those things? And one of the reasons I've been thinking about this is because on Monday we talked a lot about, and I did a main channel video about this. If you didn't watch the video on the main channel from yesterday, check it out. Even if you watched the stream Monday, I added a bunch of stuff to that. It's a good video. Check it out on the channel. But if you think about it, to get the power of the Soul Stone, you got to sacrifice something you love. That's what it is. To get the Soul Stone, you got to sacrifice something you love. Would it not be similar if you're not just getting the stone, but you're getting power of this singularity, of that outer versal aspect of reality? The Soul Stone, or the soul power, requires sacrifice. And so maybe he sacrifices his family to gain that power. I don't know. Like, we'll see. We'll see. There could be something there. There could be something there. It's kind of interesting. Good question, though, brother. Thank you. Good question. Okay, let's talk about this. Let's talk about this shenanigan. This object here. So let me get this pulled up for you guys. Doom doo 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 doo. Doom doo 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 doo. Doom doo 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 doo. Oh, that's kind of fun. Hang on, I just gotta find this object. Everybody's talking about it. Everybody's asking what it is. Everybody's all confused. Wait, what? Wanda Maximoff in Latveria? That can't be real. Oh, you know what? We'll go device. That seems to be what people are referring to it as. Okay. The hell is this? Okay. Are you ready, chat? Are you ready? To Dr. Doom's chastity belt? Yeah, probably. Do you guys think that Dr. Doom is into semen retention? I don't know. I don't know. Maybe, but maybe he just thinks of it as a fad. Interesting. Interesting. Come again? Yeah, no, but he wouldn't come again, would he, if he was doing semen retention? All right, moving right along. Moving right the fuck along. So, even more stuff from the Avengers Doomsday trailer is driving the fandom nuts. Pause. And it all has to do with this object here, man. So let's look at this. We've spoken about this a little bit. But Movie Nerd here says a new Iron Studios Avengers Doomsday statue may have quietly leaked a major plot device, the Dr. Doom's mystery accessory. The statue includes 3 interchangeable arms for Dr. Doom, 1 holding a book, 1 open single-handed, and the 3rd gripping an unlabeled device. Iron Studios only calls it an extra arm. The leading theory is that it's the ultimate nullifier, the Fantastic Four device capable of erasing entire universes. And another newer theory suggests it could be the key to the Library of Worlds from Hickman's Secret Wars comics, tied to Doom's Battleworld prep. Okay, so we got a couple of the images here. This is quite interesting, but what makes it all the more interesting is you can actually see this in the Doomsday trailer. It does happen at a part where Pedro Pascal's Reed Richards is saying like, Victor, did you do this? And he's like really, really angry. So we're suggesting that something crazy is happening there. It also looks like maybe Doom's holding it, or maybe Reed's holding it, or maybe they're both holding it and they're holding hands while they hold it. Weird, but it does kind of seem like that could be what it is. And yes, the leading theory is that it is the ultimate nullifier. Okay, now the ultimate nullifier is something that Reed Richards, I believe he either invents it or he finds it in Galactus's ship. I can't exactly remember, but either way, it's how he threatens Galactus. It's how he gets Galactus to fucking leave, essentially. Where he's like, dude, I will pop this thing off and destroy you and everything in the next bajillion miles or whatever. So really, really crazy device here, okay? And I think the reason that people think that it could be the ultimate nullifier is it's in the scene with Reed. Doom is potentially destroying universes. Universes are being destroyed. So maybe the nullifier could do that. But to my mind, the nullifier was not destroying universes. It was like destroying galaxies. I don't really remember it ever actually destroying universes. And in fact, when you get into the Hickman run, Reed Richards invents the antimatter bomb with T'Challa to blow up the worlds. If the nullifier was good enough for that, they just would have used the nullifier there, okay? So I don't think the nullifier actually destroys entire universes. But that is the prevailing theory, is that it would be the nullifier. Now, the other big theory, which they do mention in this post here by Movie Nerds, is that it would be the key to the Library of Worlds. Now, the Library of Worlds is something from Jonathan Hickman's Time Runs Out / Avengers, New Avengers into Secret Wars thing. It's described as a place right between the sort of outer verse and the inner verse of the Marvel multiverse. So it actually has access. It's right next to where the Beyonders would be. And it has access to different parts of time. And it's where the character known as Rabam Al-Lal was positioned for the entire Game of Worlds. Now, to briefly explain that to you, essentially, there's a moment, well, actually, it's not just a moment, it's pretty much the entire run, where you are introduced to this character known as the Great Destroyer. Okay? One of the first things that happens in that run is T'Challa in Wakanda witnesses the opening of a portal, and he witnesses an incursion. He basically goes through this portal, he sees this other Earth, it blows the fuck up, and then these other beings come from that destroyed world into his world. One of those beings was known as the Black Swan. Now, she becomes this important element because they keep her as a prisoner, and she kind of becomes like a storytelling device. Like, she just has the perfect exposition throughout the entire run and teases them and explains things to them. She calls this the Game of Worlds. She basically says, you've realized that you're in the Game of Worlds. And just like every other world out there, you're going to try to figure out what's happening. You'll try to stop it. You'll realize you can't stop it. You will change. You will destroy worlds. You will become different beings. And maybe you'll survive. But if you do survive, you'll have to survive him, the Great Destroyer, Rabam Al-Lal, who is described as a religious figure. The Black Swan worships Rabam Al-Lal. She works for Rabam Al-Lal, but she worships Rabam Al-Lal, okay? Sorry, I ate a big breakfast. I'm burping a lot. So what happens is we get to a point in the story where Doctor Strange is crossing all sorts of lines, becoming crazy powerful. He's going out of the multiverse to try to figure shit out on his own. Doctor Strange ends up hooking up with these people. I think they're called the Black Priests, and they were able to use a really weird form of magic with certain sacred words that could affect reality. They go out there and start playing the Game of Worlds as well. They're killing another group called the Map Makers that are going out there destroying worlds. It's a big, complicated, convoluted thing, but all you need to know is that Doctor Strange amasses an army of sorcerers. He finds where Rabam Al-Lal is. He goes there to destroy Rabam Al-Lal once and for all, and he gets the shit kicked out of him. The Black Swans and Doctor Doom, who it's revealed that Rabam Al-Lal was Doctor Doom the whole time, basically kicks the shit out of Steven. But then Doctor Doom's like, yo, Steven, what up? It's me, Doom. I was pretending to be Rabam Al-Lal. Let me explain why. And then he goes on to tell him all about the incursions, the Molecule Man, the Beyonders. And from there, Stephen Strange and Doctor Strange, Stephen Strange and Doctor Doom, rather, actually become partners. They confront the Beyonders together. They witness the destruction of the entire multiverse. And together, they create Battleworld. That's why Stephen Strange is the sheriff to God Emperor Doom in Secret Wars. That's why Stephen Strange is allowed to remember the old world, because Strange and Doom legitimately work together to save the entire multiverse. Okay? This could be a key to the Library of Worlds, or a certain place like the Library of Worlds in the Doomsday story. And that would be super tight. Like, that would be really cool if that's what it is. But I have a theory that's even more crazy, okay? And I want to explain this theory, and it's really wild. A lot of you guys will be like, what the fuck is he on about? So let me explain this to you. So what I think this is a celestial life seed. Now, real quick, before I go any further on this, how many people in chat know what these celestial life seeds are? And I wonder if any of you can even tell me who that character is there on the left. Who is this character? Do any of you know? Oh, somebody knows. X-Man, the GOAT. Yeah, so this is actually a version of Cable in a universe where he never gets the techno-organic virus, and therefore he becomes basically like God. And this is, by the way, this is what Apocalypse and Mr. Sinister were trying to create. The reason they combine the Jean Grey's bloodline with the Summers bloodline is because they think they can create a super X-Man, a super mutant that's like the most powerful fucking mutant ever in existence, okay? And that's who X-Man is. But at a certain point in the comics, he actually gets depowered. I think it has to do with Celestials. And they take this device known as the Celestial Life Seed, and X-Man uses that. And it not only does it bring back his mutant powers, it actually makes them even more powerful than before. This is when he becomes like truly, basically Marvel Jesus. Okay? So let's take a step back. Why do I think this? How could this work within the story? Well, mostly I think this because to me that looks like celestial technology. Okay? Just the design, the engravings, it looks like celestial tech. We've seen celestial tech. Technically, you know what that looks like? Wonder Gore Mountain, which I also think is either celestial or the Fear Lords. It's ancient technology, okay? So that thing looks like that temple to Chthon. And that temple to Chthon also has the actual Darkhold engraved upon it and things of that nature, right? So this is some kind of ancient, celestial, outer-versal technology. To me, I've always thought that the Eternals movie and the Eternals themselves are setting up something that's going to be really, really important to understand about Marvel, and that is that the Celestials, you know, we already know that they were like creating worlds through things, but their technology in the World Forge, I think it's tech that He Who Remains uses to eventually control the timeline. Because that Citadel at the end of time with all the like Kinsagi gold cracks that are in the things, which also when you see Kang use his tempad, it's that golden cracked stuff. And if you remember in the Eternals movie, when you go to the actual World Forge with Cersei, you see those same golden tendrils all throughout, okay? So basically what I'm telling you is I think this is all going to come down to the Celestials. Yes, and also the X gene is probably also going to be connected to the Celestials, which is why I think the Celestial seeds are able to restore mutant power. Okay? So I know this is super nerdy, but just try to follow me on this, okay? We have also heard that the first Firmament, who's like an embodiment of the very first universe, he's something like a hyped up version of like Null, the symbiote god, that he may well be one of the main villains, if not the main villain, in the next saga. And that Celestials, maybe mad Celestials, maybe corrupted Celestials, maybe dark Celestials will play a huge role in what happens next. Okay? Celestial seeds, the life seeds, are really powerful. They are placed within planets, and they can become Celestials. And that's kind of what happens with Tiamat, okay? But what I think could be happening here is that Doom needs a Celestial Life Seed in order to create Battleworld. And so he'll use this maybe as a way to harness power and to use power. Maybe he restores mutant power. Maybe he takes away mutant power or does something crazy with it because he's Doom and he can use magic with it. But what if it's literally just to seed his Battleworld? And what if the Celestial that grows in Battleworld doesn't actually die at the end of Secret Wars? What if that seed becomes some kind of dark, twisted Celestial that then haunts the Marvel Cinematic Universe after the events of Secret Wars. Something like Tiamat emerging from Earth, but this one would be way crazier, way more twisted, way more evil, and way more of a big fucking problem. So that's what I'm going with, and it's a little bit influenced by the fact that, like, we've heard that they want to do more Celestial stuff, that's going to come back into play. We've also heard that there's going to be some lingering things that are still affecting the universe after Secret Wars. I look at the mutants, I look at the fact that this thing has been in other mutant stories, which involve either like the dreaming or sleeping Celestial, mutants losing their powers, regaining their powers. We've heard that they want to do Judgment Day. They want to do a version of AVXVE, the Axe event, which was a retcon in Marvel Comics, which meant that the Celestials seeded the X gene when they came to Earth. The X gene eventually pops up, and as far as the Eternals and the Celestials are concerned, that's a deviant gene, meaning they are deviants, meaning the Eternals must destroy them. And that goes into a whole crazy thing as well. But when you think about what they want to do with the mutants and the X-Men in the next saga, when you consider that a lot of stuff leading up to Doomsday makes it seem like Celestial tech might be all over this thing. Like, I kind of think the arc reactor itself is Celestial tech. I think the 10 rings are Celestial tech. I think on Asgard, the Rainbow Bridge is Celestial tech. I think the device that they create to time travel in Endgame is Celestial tech. I think the Citadel at the end of time and the Tempad that Kang or He Who Remains used to maybe harness the power of Goliath, I think that's Celestial tech. I think it's Celestial tech the whole way down. And so I think Doom might just be getting one of the most important pieces of Celestial technology in order to create his Battleworld. And that's what I think it is. I could absolutely be wrong. But that's what I'm thinking, chat. What do you think about that? Way too crazy? Does it sound super cool? Or not? Howard the Duck is Celestial tech. I agree. It would be pretty crazy, huh? It would be pretty crazy. Heather is a Celestial. No, not her. Everybody else. Makes a lot of sense. I don't know if it makes a lot of sense. It just tracks. Like, it could technically be true, right? We also know that Doom has been around the multiverse. He has an entire arsenal slash vault full of artifacts, devices, things from the multiverse. So Warhammer isn't Celestial tech. You're right about that. Josh is Celestial tech. Definitely. And listen, here's the other thing. In a lot of those, like in the Tapestry and on the Word of God, you kind of have this alchemical idea of a lower realm, a middle realm, and a heavenly realm. And it seems like Doom is using not just dark powers, but I think he's going to use light powers as well. In comics, the Word of God can only be used by somebody with a pure heart. So he'd have to be like truly pure of heart. And maybe it's a Vegeta thing where he's like pure of heart, but it's evil or something. But like, in order to utilize godly power, what is heavenly power in Marvel? I think it's Celestial tech. And if you look at the Shang-Chi movie, right? You've got his father, Wen Wu, who's using the 10 rings, and it's dark energy. Maybe it's antimatter energy. It kind of looks like the power of Goliath, right? But then when his son grabs him, and he's tapping into the Tai Chi that his mom taught him, it's golden, it's light. And doesn't that match up to what you see in Deadpool and Wolverine? And Deadpool and Wolverine, you have the Shredder, and it uses antimatter and matter. At the very end of that movie, they make a closed circuit, and they actually oscillate antimatter and matter energy. in alchemy, you need the polarity, and the tension of the polarity breaks the matter, and then it's reformed. That's the transformation. So I just think there's some ways that you could think of it. There's some ways it could work. Yeah, it could be Vegeta style. Wouldn't that be cool? I thought it was a strange design for Wondergore. It is a strange design for Wondergore, yeah. Yep. He's the one that finally fixes everything because Doom realizes he isn't smart enough to. Reed fixes the world and the multiverse stuff. It's true. He even fixes Doom's face as a gift in the end. Yeah, dude, I love that story, and I think that would be kind of interesting to explore. Imagine if Mephisto appears in Doomsday. It would be pretty cool. I wouldn't be against it. It would be kind of cool. Are they going to use the Matter Daddy? I don't know what that is. Sounds like some Star Wars shit to me. You know? All right, should we talk about the Toby leaks? Why would Reed be holding the key? Well, again, if it's a key or if it's a seed, it's possible because it kind of seems like they're going to split up and go do different things. And it seems like Reed is building machines, maybe with Wakanda, in order to stop that final incursion of all three people. But like, it's possible. One of the elements of the movie is finding out what the 10 rings actually are, explaining that they're celestial tech, and then they need some element to make that work. Like that could be a world forge, or it could be a key to a world forge. It's, you know what I mean? So if that's what it is, then maybe Reed's holding it because he found it and he's giving it to Victor, or maybe Victor's holding it and Reed has his hand on Victor. You know what I mean? There's a lot of different explanations for it. If the smartest man alive fixed it for him, Mofo can't act surprised in the end. True. All right, should we talk about the Toby leaks? Should we talk about the Toby leaks? Josh, the Russos did a foreword for the new release of Time Runs Out. I sent it in the Discord. For real? That's dope. Wow, that's really cool. All right, let's read this. This is cool. Joe and Anthony Russo forward from Avengers Time Run Out Marvel Premiere Collection. We grew up in Cleveland, in an old ethnic neighborhood that felt like something out of a fairy tale. Our world was pretty small, but the comics we found didn't feel that way. We'd pick them up from drugstores and corner shops, sometimes out of order, sometimes years apart, and we read them until they were barely holding together. They were surprising and rich with ideas that gained more meaning as we got older, and they opened up worlds that felt big, stranger, and more honest than anything around us. Secret Wars spoke to us in the same way. Jonathan Hickman created a story that felt enormous, but also incredibly personal. It followed a universe pushed to the edge and asked a simple question that carried real weight. What remains when everything else falls apart? When we joined Marvel Studios for The Winter Soldier, we had no idea where the journey would take us, only that we wanted to tell the best stories we could. Our focus was to tell a story rooted in feeling and grounded in truth. And as our work expanded through Civil War, Infinity War, and Endgame, that canvas grew, but the emotional center stayed close. Hickman's work reminded us that the heart of any epic story lives in the people trying to survive it. And then there is Doom. Doom is not just an adversary. He is ambitious and fear woven together. In Secret Wars, he tries to hold reality in place through sheer will. He believes he can save everything if he controls enough of it. Hickman reveals the strain behind that effort and the human fragility beneath the armor. Even someone who can reshape existence cannot escape the emotions that define him. We have always been drawn to characters who walk that line. people who reach for something noble and lose themselves along the way. Sometimes destruction does not arrive in a single blow. It arrives through decisions made in uncertainty and through fractures between people who want the same thing but cannot find their way to each other. That is its own kind of ending. It is quiet, painful, and incredibly human. In Time Runs Out, one of the most striking elements is how the world begins to slip. It's not a dramatic explosion. It is fear. It is compromise. It is the slow erosion of trust among people who care deeply and still cannot prevent the fall. Stories like that linger. They ask us to look at who we become when pressure shapes every choice. Over the past decade, we have worked on stories that pulled us into extraordinary spaces. We have followed soldiers, spies, cosmic beings, and everyday people who shoulder impossible burdens. Through all of it, one truth has stayed with us. Scale only matters when it is anchored in sincerity. Secret Wars carries that sincerity through every page. It turns the end of everything into a story about identity, hope, and the cost of wanting to save something larger than yourself. We are still those kids from Cleveland who opened comic books and felt the world expand. The medium changed for us, but the sense of wonder never left. And yes, we enjoy blowing up a building or two on screen, but books like this remind us why we fell in love with storytelling in the first place. Damn! That's high praise. That's high praise. And I mean, I would just tell you that it's the greatest comic book story ever told. And that's probably all that needs to be said. You know, it's the greatest comic book story ever told. And because it was Hickman that told it, I still consider him basically to be the GOAT. And the fact that we're even getting any of that incredible story adapted into Doomsday is a W. You know what I mean? Wow. That was cool. Thank you for that, Doom Servant. I appreciate that. That was a nice little detour. Thank you. Thank you, thank you, thank you. All right, I think I'm going to go potty. I think I'm going to go to the potty. And then we'll do the Tobey Maguire leak segment, okay? Look at this glorious premiere collection. I can't wait to get this. So is this one of them like hard copies you can just go in and get? That's pretty affordable? Man, what a great time for that. Yo. Wow. Marvel, man. Wow, wow, wee wah. It's at Target for $15. Oh my God, that's amazing. That's amazing. Life is good. It's amazing. Life is good. All right, guys. I'll be right back. Hold on to your butts. Hey, what are you doing in there? You want to say hi to everybody? You want to come say hi? Come here. Come here. Come on. Jump up. Jump up so everybody can see you. Come here. Oh, that's a nice puppy. Oh, that's a nice puppy. Oh, she gone. You want to come up? No? You want to come up and say hi? She's not feeling it. She's not feeling it. She's shy today. Don't talk to your wife like that. She gone. It bombed and she gone. Stop trying to eat my shoes. Dog needs training, call Caesar. You know what's funny is I bet Caesar wouldn't even train Sheba. Actually would love if anybody can find if he's ever talked about Shiba Inu, because they are like the least trainable dogs. They are very different than most dogs. I'm going to look that up now. I want to know if he ever talked about Shiba. Ugh. I feel like I got something in my eye. Hi, Leia. You want to come up? Come here. Come here, get some scratchies. Come here. Oh, you're sneezing? Bless you. You want to come up? Come here. One more time. Just say hi. Come on. Come on. Come up. Wait, stop sneezing. Okay. Okay, girl. Don't worry about it. Don't worry about it. It's okay. Well, I can't pet you now. All right. I got something like in my eye, bro. Sucks. You need the treats to entice? Yeah, they don't really go for that either. Who's the guy on the far left? That's Namor. That's Namor. Okay, nice. Yeah. Anytime we can get an update on the progress of your theory of Tony Stark being a Doom variant from the beginning of the MCU. Yeah, I'm going to work on a big video putting that all together. There's a lot of evidence for it. I'm going to try to compile it, make it a really solid video. But, you know, I yap about it all the time here. It's just there still has not been anything to refute it. No big scoopers have come out to say that it's wrong. Yeah, I'm pretty sure that's what it is. Yeah. Brianna says, internet says Secret Wars has started filming. Confirm, yes or no? I think that's true. Yeah, I think that's true. What is this? Is it a hair or something? Like, what's in my eye? All right, well, let's talk Toby. Let's talk Toby leaks. Okay, so I'm going to pull up. Pretty sure I have this bookmarked. Yeah. So I'm going to pull up potentially real leaks. Now, I'm not going to show you everything because a lot of stuff has been leaking, but we got to get into this because there's a point that needs to be made here. So we have to discuss these new Tobey Maguire leaks with Avengers Doomsday. Now, this has been a long-standing thing. You know, I'll take you through the whole thing real quick. It all started when John Campea said that he knows about the beginning of the movie and it's absolutely incredible, but he wouldn't say what it was. Then Gary from Nerderotic was like, oh, I know what that is. This is a scene where the X-Men come and they kill Tobey Maguire and they defeat Tobey Maguire's universe. His universe blows up. Now, there's a moment where Gary says that it's actually like Doc Ock and maybe even Green Goblin. They're fighting alongside Toby, right? Alex Perez kind of pushed back on that, and it does seem like maybe that's not in there. I think that they wanted it to be in there. I think it was written, might have even had storyboards, but I don't know if they actually got the actors to do this. So I don't know if it's just Doc Ock. I don't know if it's nobody but Toby, like maybe it's just Toby. I would actually hope that it's Doc Ock. I just watched No Way Home, and I like Doc Ock in that movie. It's really, really cool, and he helps Peter out. So maybe he would and Toby would be, you know, working together again and trying to fight these X-Men, okay? But regardless of that, whether or not it's actually the villains or not, Toby is going to fight Hugh Jackman Wolverine. And And we've even seen some leaked photos of what this would look like. However, the new leaks for this are absolutely insane. So big time spoiler warning here. We're going to go over some images. We're going to talk about a couple of different things. I need to talk to you about a video that's out there because, oh my God. The overall take here is like, basically, this might be the greatest opening to a comic book movie ever. And it's also going to be absolutely fucking devastating. Let's explain. So here's just a couple of images that we have technically from this scene. So we've got Kelsey Grammer as Beast, and holy shit, does he look incredible. We got Hugh Jackman, Wolverine, looking literally better than ever. Did they tweak the mask or something? Because holy shit, looks absolutely incredible. We've got Doc Ock, which makes me think maybe Doc Ock is in this scene. Maybe they just didn't get Norman or something. I'm not really sure. And then we've got Toby with the beard and the battle damage on the suit. Okay. Again, we don't know if this is real. Could be real. Could be upscaled with AI. Could be some changes. But generally speaking, we think this is real. People think Doc Ock might get totally fucked up by Magneto in a way that will be awesome, but also devastating. Okay, so let me just take you through a couple of different things here, because again, I'm not going to show you all the images. I'm not going to show you all the videos. If you want to check it out, go out, find it on Twitter. But the images suggest and the videos suggest absolute brutality. Absolute brutality. There are images where Wolverine is stabbing Toby. There's images and video of New York blowing up, and it looks like fucking Toby Emmerich movie, where the whole thing is just like it's literally the whole city is just exploding, and it looks absolutely brutal. Toby screaming. You know, in that first trailer where we have Professor X looking up and he goes like this and that sound happens? Apparently, he will literally watch that planet explode. Toby's whole Earth is going to explode. And it's going to be so fucking crazy, so powerful that basically everybody on that X-Men planet is going to see it happen in the sky. So you can imagine the other Earth will probably show up, and you can have this other Earth in the sky. Now, that's actually like a portal or the space between them thinning. It's very similar to what happens in the Hickman comic book, right? But apparently, it is going to be incredibly devastating. Deadpool's going to be in this fighting a little bit. Beast is the guy that made the bomb that's going to be kind of telling them what they need to do to plant it and have it explode. Magneto's there making sure everything's chill. Probably messing up Doc Ock and probably destroying a lot of New Jersey and destroying all sorts of stuff like he is kind of teased out himself. And then it's really going to come down to Hugh Jackman Wolverine and Tobey Maguire Spider-Man. And it seems like it's going to be such a dope action scene. Toby's going to be moving. Toby's going to be getting the better of him, but he can't really kill Hugh Jackman. And then there are some shots. It's hard to know if they're true or not. But there are some shots where it looks like Toby, or it looks like Hugh is actually stabbing Toby. So Toby might be actually like cut up pretty bad and bleeding and devastated. And I would imagine there's going to be some dialogue between them, but we are going to watch Toby lose everything. And we're going to watch his entire world blow up. And then the X-Men are probably going to float back to the mansion via Magneto. And it's going to be somber because even in that first trailer, like you see Charles and he looks pretty emotional. So I think they're going to do that thing. Like we just read this beautiful prologue where the Russo brothers wrote a nice new intro for the Jonathan Hickman Time Runs Out comic book thing. And they're describing that run perfectly. And one of the things that made that run so devastating was you're watching heroes act the way we've never seen them act, because it's so high stakes, so much loss is on the table, trillions of lives are being lost, people are really emotional, they're like blowing up worlds and they can't believe it, I remember one of my favorite issues in that run was an incursion happens and the Avengers all realize they can't blow up another world. And instead, they're just going to spend their last 8 hours with their families. And it's this almost silent issue of the 8 hours ticking down and them having memories, holding their loved ones, realizing they can't do anything about it. They're all going to die. And then the 8 hours is gone and they don't die. And they're like, what the hell? And it's revealed that Namor went out and found the Cabal, and he's got a bunch of villains, and those villains are destroying worlds now. It's nuts. Like, it's so good. It's so good. We love that run. And this scene with Toby and this scene with Hugh Jackman at the very beginning does seem like they're tapping into the brutality of that. And it's really, really crazy. But, and here's where like it actually gets kind of interesting. Apparently this exact version of Hugh that's in this fight and this exact version of Toby that's in this fight will actually not die. And as this world explodes, they're either saved by Loki or they just somehow randomly pop up on Battleworld. And it's also possible that they will need to work together in Battleworld. So imagine going from one of the most emotional, exhilarating, brutal, and heartbreaking scenes in the history of the comic book movie genre, a character we absolutely love in Tobey Maguire, and he's defeated, he loses everything, and it's basically Hugh Jackman Wolverine's fault. And then they pop up on Battleworld together, and they have to somehow get past their differences. Toby has to somehow get past his whole world destroyed, and they have to somehow work together to try to bring back all of their universes. That is pretty fucking cool. So I wanted to share this with you guys because, man, people are like, I don't think people are ready. I don't think people are ready. What a ballsy way to kick this movie off. Like, really and truly, like, that is a ballsy way to start this movie. And a lot of us, like, here's the thing. We're the Nerd Avengers. We're deep in this shit. But for a lot of casuals and for people that are just not as plugged in, this is going to be devastatingly shocking. I cannot wait to sit in a movie theater and just witness how does the crowd react to this. Will kids be crying? Will I be crying? Are people going to be mad? Are people going to straight up like, you know what I'm saying? There were people at the end of Infinity War that actually had like anxiety attacks. I don't know if you guys remember this. Some people got literally wheeled out in stretchers. Like, I'm not kidding. Like, that's the kind of way Marvel was moving. That's the way it was resonating with people. There were a lot of kids and people that were like, they can't all be dying. You know what I mean? At the end of Infinity War, that dust was brutal, man. It sucked the air out of the room. It was an incredible experience. This might top it. Like, this might legitimately top that experience, and it's scene one. So, Campy might have been right on this one. You know, this might actually be the one, and maybe the greatest opening sequence in the history of the comic book movie genre. So anyway, with that being said, those are the leaks. It's wild, man. It's wild. And so I wanted to bring it up to you guys, and I'd love to know what you think about it. So what do you think, guys? Palp says, that Toby scene is going to blow everyone's socks off. Thanks for shouting out the fantasy football, Josh. We got all our slots filled. Okay, gotcha. No, do I still need to do the order? I'll try to get to that. I'll try to get to that tomorrow, buddy. Appreciate you. I need new socks. Indeed, sir. They have a choice. Take out the world or just lose both. I know, yeah. And that's crazy, devastating, but yes. Josh, can you show me how to join the Discord? The link is expired. Just put an exclamation point Discord and that link should work. If not, I don't know. I don't know what to tell you. That panel of Tony pouring 30 shots was heavy. Yeah, man. They really tap in to what it would be like to watch your favorite Marvel heroes just literally give up. No more spots, really? Yeah, sorry, bud. I didn't know. I shouldn't have shouted it out like that, I guess. But we'll send the names to you. Thank you, man. Appreciate it. Lots of mutant hate will happen. Yeah, dude, for sure. And it's kind of a cool way to set up anti-mutant sentiment going in. Like, I'm pretty sure I saw some memes online. I wonder if I can find them, where they're like, after watching the X-Men kill Tobey Maguire, and then it's like a shirt where the guy says, "Fuck them muties." Like, that's going to be real. And I like that kind of tension. It's always been fun in the fandom to have that tension, between the different kinds of fans and the different heroes they root for, et cetera, et cetera. The mutants in particular have always kind of had that. They save a world that hates and fears them. And if they kill Tobey Maguire's universe, damn sure a lot of motherfuckers are going to hate them. For sure. How would Doc Ock be there if he technically died in that world? That's an incredible question. And as somebody that recently watched Spider-Man No Way Home, I can actually perfectly explain it to you. They literally say in that movie, it's actually a large part of why Peter doesn't want to send them back, is that if Peter sends them back, they die. They just go back to their timeline and die. And at the very end of that movie, Steven even says, "I'm actually really impressed that you were able to save them." And the way he saves them is by like changing their powers, like curing their powers, and he sends them back. With Doc Ock, particularly what this does is it makes it so that the arms and the thing is no longer manipulating him, and so he has full control of it once again. So it's probably like after the events of No Way Home, the timeline is changed so that they don't die. And that is actually a big part of the plot of No Way Home. But it's a good question, because probably people forgot about that. X-Men should go to the DC universe and blow up the Gunverse. Now that's a champion. Quote of the day. Put it on the wall. That's the quote of the day. Can Doom spine rip Heather in the opening scene? God, I hope so. Maybe Jean is controlling Wolverine. Jean uses him to kill Spider-Man. That would get some shit going. Yeah, that's true. It's just that we don't think that Jean is alive at that moment. It's possible she is. We're not really sure what's going on with Femke's Jean and Phoenix, but Chris Claremont said she's in the movie, and Chris Claremont's been pretty spot on with all the shit he said. I actually think they'll probably do a montage where they explain how long they've been fighting for, where they explain all the people they lost, and I think they will have a scene with Jean, and it'll be brief, but like maybe she goes into Nicolas Cage Ghost Rider universe, and Nicolas Cage Ghost Rider kills her. You know what I mean? And then maybe the Phoenix Force goes into Scott. I just got here. Did you see what David Harbour said? Is it about Warhammer? He loves Warhammer. David Harbour just spoiled Doomsday. Are you sure he didn't spoil Warhammer? Because he loves Warhammer, guys. Did you know he loves Warhammer? What did David Harbour just say? Let's find out. What did he say? What did he say? This is David Harbour on stage talking about Total War Warhammer 40K, announced and presented by David Harbour of Stranger Things. Is that what you guys are talking about? Is this the David Harbour shit? Maybe not. Let me keep looking. This is David Harbour wearing a Warhammer shirt. That's actually the symbol for the Inquisition, but also just the Imperium. And the Custodians actually have this symbol on a lot of their stuff, too. In fact, where's my Custodians thing? Oh, no. Where's my Custodians thing? Anyways, you guys get it. David Harbour loves Warhammer. Am I missing it? For some reason, I can't find what you guys are talking about. Huh? Why do you say this? It's probably at the very end of it, huh? Uh-oh. He shouldn't have said this. Okay. And of course, he's reprising his Red Guardian role in Avengers Doomsday out in December. As always, we pressed Harbour for any details about the next Marvel Cinematic Universe installment and asked him to recite a line from the movie. Completely out of context, he offers a deadpan line in a Russian accent and pointing, "You are Tony Stark." That is interesting. What do you guys think of that? It's probably when the mask comes off, you know? It's probably when the mask comes off and then it's revealed that he looks exactly like Tony Stark. Yeah. It's probably a Doom face reveal, yeah. Or maybe Tony's in the movie too. Could be Tony. Could be Tony. Yeah, that is interesting though. I can't believe you said that. He's playing with fire. Toby the Nomad says, I'm okay with the opening as long as Hugh and Toby are the main protags in Secret Wars. Well, lucky for you, buddy, the word on the street is that's exactly what it is. And I like that too. I have a feeling he takes off his mask at the very end of Doomsday, cliffhanger to Secret Wars. Ooh, girl! That'd be kind of cool. That would be kind of cool. All right, so let me just look at my notes here. So we did that. We did that. We did that. We did that. Okay. Let's do just one more thing here. I just want to talk about Secret Wars filming still. And then I want to watch a couple of the Doomsday edits. And then we'll call it a frickin' day. By the way, tonight, 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, I will be playing Warhammer with my best friend live on stream. So if you're Warhammer curious, or like David Harbour, you already know how dope Warhammer is and you love it, come on by tonight. I'm going to play Dark Angels. I'm not sure what my buddy is playing. Let me see if he sent me his list. No, he didn't. He's keeping it mysterious. He's keeping it mysterious. Yeah, if you're into Warhammer, man, come on by. Tonight's going to be fun. Monkey Giraffe says, I'm incredibly curious. I'll see you there. Awesome, bud. Can't wait to see you there. We'll take a couple of sips of coffee, then we're going to talk Secret Wars. Oh, Doomsday Essential Viewing List. Yeah. That's, yeah, all right. All right. Let me take another sip of coffee. You know, it's almost 3-hour stream. You know, it's a lot of work for me. So that's a lot. You guys know how much I love the theatrical experience, man. I'm just so glad that comic book movies, we shouldn't even call it theatrical cinema anymore. We should just call it comic book movie theaters. Because bitch-ass film Twitter couldn't get shit popping without us. You know what I mean? Your fucking industry would be dead. Been carrying your back for like 20 fucking years. You'll have the audacity. You got the fucking audacity to tell me that Timmy C in the Desert movie is going to outgrow Doomsday? Suck a fat one! Suck a fat one! Fuck you, film Twitter! Bitch-ass snobby pinky out motherfuckers. I can't wait to crush you in December. All right, anyway, calm down. Calm down, everybody. Calm down. All right, so Marvel did something pretty freaking interesting, guys. They actually revealed a list of movies that they are calling essential watching to understand Avengers Doomsday. And thank God it's not all 40 of the Marvel movies and 17 million of the shows, because that's just too much. Here's what it is. X-Men, the first one, great movie. We did do a recap. We did do a deep dive on that already. It was really, really fun. X2, we did a deep dive on that as well. Absolutely incredible. Captain America, the first Avengers, we did a recap on that as well. Avengers 1, we did a recap of that one as well. We're doing pretty good here. But for some reason, they don't have X-Men Days of Future Past, which I find to be kind of interesting, actually, because I actually do think that's more or less essential, but we're actually going to do a deep dive on that this Saturday. So, you know, if you're in the stream, maybe you heard me already say this Saturday at 11 a.m., if you are a Nerdvenger, a paying member of the live streaming channel, come on by. This will be a special, only, you know, exclusive stream just for members where we will deep dive on Days of Future Past. And I'll explain to you why I think it's so essential. But it is interesting that it's left off of this list. Then you have Avengers Infinity War. You have Avengers Endgame. You have Loki. You have Shang-Chi. Shang-Chi is an interesting inclusion. Probably has to do with the Ten Rings itself. Maybe something to do with other dimensions. I continue to believe that the rings are celestial technology. Okay, so that's probably how that works. Spider-Man No Way Home. Just watched that last night. Actually, incredible movie, and we will deep dive on that. I suggest to you that the reason that movie's important is because of the spell, the multiverse, Peter's memories. It seems like there's some connection between that and what will be happening in Doomsday. Maybe a certain spell that'll have to happen for Secret Wars or something like that. Pretty interesting. Black Panther Wakanda Forever. That's important because of Namor, Vibranium, the new status quo of Wakanda, because of course Namor and the Wakandans will be central players in Doomsday. So look, I don't really like that movie, to be honest with you, but maybe I'll give it a rewatch just to kind of, you know, do the prep and get ready for that movie. Captain America Brave New World, scratch that from the list. You don't need to watch that. To be honest with you, no human being has ever needed to watch a movie less than that pile of dog shit. It is the case that Sam Wilson somehow survived a terrible ass show and a terrible ass movie and is still Captain America, and they're just gonna keep him as Captain America. It's actually kind of amazing. But you don't need to know shit about that movie. Fuck that movie. Deadpool and Wolverine. Super important movie that's really fun, that had the real Captain America playing Johnny Storm in it. Fascinating. But also, of course, the TVA, what Loki's doing, grabbing up heroes to fight on the timeline. Why is Thor crying? Antimatter, matter, the void. A lot of interesting elements. I do actually think a lot of that will come into play in Doomsday, so that totally makes sense. Doctor Strange and the Multiverse of Madness. I'm glad that's on the list. Wanda probably has something to do with Wanda. Maybe it has to do with Chthon, the Darkhold prophecies. Maybe it has to do with the Illuminati and how on the X-Men universe we're going to have a version of the Illuminati known as the Great Society. Maybe there's something else going on in 838. But yes, that movie does seem to be essential for setting certain things up for the Doomsday movie. The Thunderbolts movie, that's essential because of what they set up for Sentry and Void, but also that cast of characters is going to play a big role. They're some of the front and center characters for Doomsday, so you want to get filled in with them, and I actually think they're awesome. I love that movie. Fantastic Four, similar story, including the post-credit scene. There's just so much stuff in there that's going to play in to this movie. And especially when you realize that Steve Rogers was also watching all the events of that movie, but didn't do shit. And we need to know why. Yeah, Fantastic Four, first steps. Really great setup here for Doomsday. So let's see here. So it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15 different movies. So not necessarily all that bad. And there's only 2 X-Men movies. I really think they should have cut Brave New World out of here and put in Days of Future Past, probably. I guess Deadpool and Wolverine is technically an X-Men movie as well. So, yeah, pretty interesting. What do you guys think? If you're super sweaty, you think that's a good essential viewing list? I think these are all pretty good movies other than... seriously, that Sam Captain America movie is terrible. Like, it's so bad. I hate that movie. But other than that, I think these are all really solid movies, and I think this probably does do a pretty good job of setting up all the other elements that you'll need for Doomsday. Maybe I'll do a main channel video where I break down this list in a bit more detail and kind of explain all the things I think you'll need from those movies to understand Doomsday. So if you don't want to watch all 15 of these movies, I'll do like a compacted video, maybe like a 20, 25-minute, 30-minute video that it goes through all of them, explains the essential beats. That could be good. We're going to continue our deep dives. And again, we're going to do Days of Future Past. We're not going to do every single movie. We didn't do every single movie in Phase 1. We're not going to do every other Marvel movie that's out there. But one of the things that makes Doomsday so dope is that it does utilize not just the catalog of the Marvel Cinematic Universe, but the catalog of the old X-Men movies, Fantastic Four, a lot of interesting stuff that hopefully all comes together in a really meaningful way. I wonder what the essentials list will look like for Secret Wars. I feel like it might be a bit of a bigger list here. So yeah, there you have it. The essential viewing for Avengers Doomsday. The only curious thing for me is leaving off Days of Future Past, to be honest with you. So other than that, it all makes perfect sense. Chat, what do you think? What do you think? You think normies are going to watch all 15s of these movies here or what? Is the real Doom possibly using Tony's corpse and dreamwalking into his body in the ultimate desecration of a hero in Endgame because together he and Cap caused him to lose his family? Yeah, I don't think so. It's possible. I like where your head's at, but the thing they're already trying to do is confusing. But there's a way to do it. What you're describing is like just another layer of confusion, in my opinion, but not necessarily the worst. I think Red Hulk plays a role in Doomsday, so that's why Brand New Day was included. No, it's because of Sam. I mean, maybe Red Hulk's in it. I don't really think so. But no, it's because of Sam Wilson, who apparently does have a lot to do in Doomsday. Hopefully it's good, because I don't like Sam Wilson Cap. I don't like Anthony Mackie as Captain America. And no amount of like whatever you'd throw at me is going to make up for that. Like, do you know what I mean? Like, I just don't like it. So you can't like make me feel bad about it and then I'm going to like it because I feel bad because I'm supposed to like it. Get the fuck out of here. He's trash as Captain America. So unless Doomsday does some heavy lifting for him, I'm just going to basically ignore this motherfucker as much as possible. That's where I stand on it. Take the serum. Yeah, it would be kind of cool if Sam took the serum. That would be interesting. It would at least be interesting. He's so uninteresting. He is the least interesting motherfucker on the screen in every scene that he is in. It's so bad. Son. You don't need to introduce every hero. Skip Brave New World. Yeah, I think you can skip it, legitimately. The audio video sync is off a tad. What? Ain't no way. It's not Mackie's fault that Sam sucks. It's the writing. Same with Captain America, son. Yeah, but here's the problem. Here's the problem with what you just said. You know that goobly glob, garble as fuck, stupid ass part where he says you need to do better, Senator? Yeah, he wrote that. Go look it up. Mackie wrote that shit. So first of all, where are the fucking adults in the room that are letting this guy write any goddamn thing? But also, let's consider that he wrote that. So yes, the writing is ass because they let him do it. So it's literally Mackie's fault. It's Mackie's fault, top to bottom. Anthony Mackie doesn't have a commanding enough presence to play Captain America. Yeah, where were you 7 years ago, 8 years ago when they made this decision? Where were the people in the room that were like, I just don't think he's got it like that? You need to do better, Senator. Yeah, Mackie wrote that shit. And there wasn't enough people that had like the spine or the balls to be like, look, I get it, man. You know, like Black Captain America, like I totally get it. But this is cringe as fuck. This is terrible. What are you doing? Like, who is this for? You know what I mean? We needed adults in the room at that point. Oh, dead ass. He wrote that shit. It's crazy, huh? What do I think of Age of Ultron not being on there? Yeah, I mean, I guess it's a little interesting that Age of Ultron, but Age of Ultron is really like a deep setup for Infinity War and Endgame. The only elements that could possibly be presented to be tapping into that Doom shit would be like the scene where Scarlet Witch forces that vision into Tony. That could play a role, but I guess if they're just looking to trim shit down, maybe they didn't think that was enough to do that. And then I think obviously Infinity War and Endgame are way more important to the setup that's going to happen in Doomsday. They didn't even add Vision Quest, so it's fair to say that shit has no impact on the lead up to Doomsday at all. Well, I think that they're probably just not going to spend a lot of resources to make that connection. I think it's there, but I think it's more there for the hardcore folks. And this is for normies. This list is for the normies. This is like, oh, you don't remember shit about Marvel? Maybe you haven't watched a Marvel movie in 5 years? Here's the movies that matter. None of the Iron Man movies on there is weird. Isn't it Iron Man 1? Oh, they don't even have Iron Man 1. That's a good point, actually. That is kind of crazy. But maybe that's more Secret Wars stuff. Maybe there's just barely some shit with Tony and Doom, as David Harbour seems to be hinting at. Multiverse of Madness is the biggest setup for Doomsday. I think it's a pretty big setup, yeah. I think it's a pretty big setup. I would say so, yes. Do you rank Fantastic Four above Rise of the Silver Surfer? No, I like Rise of the Silver Surfer more. My name is Tony Stark. Yeah, I think this is purely immediately relevant stuff. Yeah, I agree. Jonathan Majors' Cap would have gone hard, bro. Yeah, but that's like a totally different character, I think. Look, there's a lot of people, but it's, you know, it's a writing thing for sure. But like, Sam was not cast to be Captain America. I don't care, or Mackie, I don't care if they want to try to pretend like that was. No, he was cast as the plucky sidekick. And then they want to like strip that away from him and make him like stand on your own 2 feet, tough guy Cap. And it just doesn't work. Like, that's not who Sam was. You know what I mean? So, I don't know. I mean, Phase 4 and 5 were so bad. I'm happy we don't got to watch that trash. Yeah, totally. Yeah. And look, you know, the other thing too is, look, I don't want to like go down this rabbit hole again. But like, we're getting Anthony Mackie Captain America, and we can't recast T'Challa. Like, dude, get the fuck out of here. Like, if you want to have like a strong male black character that stands toe to toe, it shouldn't be Cap's old sidekick that didn't take the serum. It should be the king and warrior of the fucking Wakandan nation. He takes the black herb. He's as strong as Cap. He's as smart as Reed Richards. That's what Stan Lee did. Stan Lee was like, I'm going to make the dopest fucking black character of all time. So the idea that Disney, you know, maybe I'll just leave it there, but like, you get what I'm saying, right? Like, the idea that Disney's like, just accept Mackie as Cap and be happy, black fans, or whatever. It just seems so fucking like, who's the guy from who's the guy who played Hawkman in Black Adam? What's that guy's name? Imagine if they had just cast that guy as T'Challa, and then in Doomsday, like, imagine if you had T'Challa played by that guy, and you didn't have to put all your chips in the fucking Anthony Mackie Captain America bin. It's just terrible. It's fucking terrible. Aldous Hodge, that dude is a badass, dude. That dude's swag. You know what I mean? Like, let's just leave that one there. You know what I mean? Because I don't like it. That's one thing I really don't think Marvel has done well. But to be fair, a lot of us fans have respectfully, and in some ways maybe not so respectfully, been vocalizing this opinion. And it's really just on Coogler at this point. Like, it's legitimately on Coogler, and whatever they do in Black Panther 3 and Johnson or whatever, you know, he's really got to step into that role and embody that and be that guy. But I'm just saying, like, it feels like we're getting table scraps, and I'm supposed to feel bad about it. Like, I'm not supposed to bring this up. Why? Because Mackie's the Disney approved black main superhero. Get the fuck out of here, dude. Like, all right, this clip took a turn. You know what I mean? This clip took a turn. We're supposed to be talking about this thing, and it's a good 15 minutes, it's a good 15 movies to watch. Just don't watch the Anthony Mackie Cap one. That's all I'm asking. Please don't watch it. It's so bad. Yeah, Disney approved. Because I could go on. I love T'Challa. T'Challa is one of the most compelling characters in Hickman's run. You know, we were just talking about Hickman, Russo brothers talking about it. Such a fucking impactful thing. Dude, from the moment that T'Challa turns his back on Steve Rogers, the Namor stuff, he's building the tech. They're housing the Illuminati in the necropolis. T'Challa's already been shamed. And the guard and everybody has to, like, hide this. Like, he's doing this really fucked up thing that nobody knows about while his own kingdom is turned against him. He's so good. It's so good. He's such an important part of that whole thing. I love that character, man. You know? And, yeah, it's just a shame. It's just a shame that we won't get any of that flavor. You know? So, it is what it is. It is what it is. It is what it is. Anyway, guys, I think we probably call it there, huh? Pretty good stream. Lots of fun, lots of nerd venging, some over-emotional reactions. Oh my God. Sorry about your pussies there. I just blew them out. My bad. Yeah, a little bit of over emotional nerd reaction, but that's what it is. We care about this stuff. The reason we get so toxic, the reason we can get so emotional is because we care. Okay? And I'm not even saying that well, maybe I could have even handled it a little bit better with more nuance. Maybe the venom comes out a little bit, but it's because I fucking care. But other than that, I thought it was a great stream. There's a lot of really dope stuff coming from Marvel. Even the Black Panther stuff, like, I'm going to let him cook. I really like Ryan Coogler. I hope that they can bring it around. I mourn for what we don't have. I'm frustrated with this sort of push in this one character that doesn't feel appropriate. It's so fucking weird. But there's still a lot of dope stuff happening, you know? And generally speaking, a lot of what we talked about on stream today was the idea that Marvel is turning this around, that we're once again the biggest show in town, the thing that people care the most about, and that's great. That's incredible. So let's let them cook and let's hope for the best. That's all we can do. What? What? You got some new packs of Marvel cards? No, I haven't gotten any in a while. And I didn't even buy a bunch for The Hobbit. Next Marvel set, though, I'm going to go nuts for. We'll open a couple of boxes. It'll be dope. Yeah. Wasn't there another topic? Oh, Secret Wars filming. But we're at 3 hours. I don't, you know, the Secret Wars thing. Oh, I'll talk about it briefly. Look, Secret Wars is apparently filming in September. They're on a 5-week break currently from shooting Avengers Doomsday, which I think means they shot way more than they said. And there was some weirdness about, like, okay, are they shooting right now? Are they not shooting right now? Spider-Man was filming at one time, which probably meant Holland went over and did a little something over there. Look, the one thing I was going to say, the thing I have in my notes here is that when Marvel decided to delay both of these movies by 7 months each, they bought themselves 14 months of extra time. I actually think it was incredibly brilliant. And I think Doomsday is going to be really good and it's going to blow people away. And starting to shoot in September for Secret Wars gives them over a year until that movie comes out. So, like, they have a lot of runway here and they know it's a really big deal. They're spending the adequate amount of time and energy to do these things. And that's awesome. So as a fan, like, I keep kind of coming back to that 7-month delay of both things. And I'm like, wow, like, that was perfect. That was perfect. They probably gave themselves even more than they needed, but you sort of find a way to fill that time. You know, anyways, but yeah, so Secret Wars will begin filming next month. They might even be filming some small things right now, but it seems like most of the cast is on a little 5-week break. Can you imagine what that would be like? You just go through one of the most intense shoots of your entire life. You're called back multiple times, doing all sorts of stuff in the reshoots. You get a 5-week break. You get like a month. And you're probably preparing, reading, thinking about Secret Wars, just not on set 16 hours a day anymore. That's gotta be a weird month, dude. Like, that's gotta be a weird month. But they do need the break. It's intense. It's intense, man. It's really intense. So, yeah. We went over the David Harbour thing. Yeah, we went over the David Harbour thing. Yeah. They should replace Sam with Blue Marvel. Blue Marvel's a great character, you know? Blue Marvel's a great character. If I had to say, like, my favorite Black Marvel characters, it would be T'Challa #1. I like Bishop. I actually really like Dr. Voodoo. I like Luke Cage. Dude, I like Luke Cage, you know? And I kind of go for that, like, 70s blaxploitation, you know, kind of thing. Luke Cage is so funny. And tell Dr. Doom that Luke Cage is going to get that $200. You know what I mean? Have you ever seen that panel? It's pretty funny. Blue Marvel's cool. Miles, technically biracial, Puerto Rican, but still. Yeah, there's some good ones, man. Sam Wilson ain't on that list. You know what I mean? Like, no offense. Yeah, Storm, of course. Yeah. I just think, like, it's weird not to just do those characters. And it's kind of weird to do Sam Cap and try to make people feel bad or try to make people feel like they're, you know, whatever, when it's like, nah, man, like, that's just not it. Like, you know. But again, you've heard it a million times. Forge is cool. Yeah, I think he's technically Latin, but yeah. Blade, of course. Blade's so cool. And Blade is used in some really cool stories too. Like that Heroes Reborn, like that Heroes Reborn they did recently. I thought Blade was utilized in an incredible way. And that sort of goes into that big event with all the vampires. And that's how Doctor Doom became Sorcerer Supreme. Was like the Night Reign story and all that. Forge is Native American. Okay. Yeah, yeah, I guess he is. Interesting. Do you think Sinister will be a Baron on Battleworld? That's an interesting question. Well, let me ask you guys this. Let's end on this because this is a good question. How would you guys feel about some of the new X-Men cast for the movie popping up in Secret Wars first? Is that too much? Could it be fun? Would it even matter? Or because it feels like they're all going to not remember. Like, what do you guys think about that? So, like, yeah, people saying they like it. It might be difficult. It'll be fun. Too young. I think it's fine, but it's just for fun. You know what I mean? Yeah, you could be right. That could be why they're casting. Although a May 2027 movie does need to shoot relatively quickly too, so that'll probably start shooting next year. I think it could be fun. I just don't want it to necessarily get to be too much. Maybe Jean is the one exception to that because she's already established and we can kind of follow along with her. But like, I just think a lot of this is not going to be remembered, right? So maybe just some fun cameo stuff. They look like rookies? Yeah, maybe a little bit. Plus, isn't that the last opportunity where we get the Fox guys? I guess technically not if they do Deadpool's universe and they do like Exiles, multiversal travel kind of stuff, right? But yeah. Yeah, new Xavier might work. Yeah, maybe. I could see it, maybe, yeah. That's my concern, is that this might actually be a little confusing. Yeah, we went over those leaks, bro. Yeah, I'll put that out on the Clips channel later today. But yeah, we went over that. All right, everybody. Well, hey, man, I really appreciate you. Another big old stream. Didn't we go for 3 hours on Monday, too? So a lot of girth this week. You know, a lot of girthy streams. How do I figure out what Warhammer army to get? Ooh, dude, that's a good question. Come on by tonight. We can talk about that a little bit more, but that's like, one thing I'll say, don't rush it. Do not rush it. This is something you want to take your time on. Figure out, I would say go with the rule of cool. It seems like you kind of like the orcs. And explore it. Just be like, okay, explore it. Because you're going to find that Warhammer is just so deep and it's so involved that, like, you might be like, oh, I like this about the orcs. I like this about the orcs. Wait, what did he just say about the Necrons? And then you go into the Necrons and you're like, holy shit, this is all the shit I love. You know? That's kind of what happened to me. So take your time. Yeah, and then one last time, I'll just tease it. Tonight, I'm going to play a game of Warhammer with my best buddy tonight, probably around 7, guys, so come on by for that. I only expect, like there'll be, like, 50 of us there. You know what I mean? Yeah, if you are one of those 50 people that loves the Warhammer or whatever, we're going to play a game tonight. I'll talk you through it. I'll try to explain everything in a simple way. It's a complicated game, but I'll try to break it down. And, yeah, it's super fun. So I'll see you guys tonight at 7. And otherwise, I got to get some editing done. I got to hit the gym. I got to have some food. And then we'll be back at it tonight, okay? And then we'll do a really nice stream Friday morning, too. It's going to be great. All right, y'all. Much love, man. As I always say, I hope you are having an awesome and a nerdy day, and I'll see you in the next video. Hey, no, turn that off. The Zelda shirt. It's not a Zelda shirt, but thanks for the likes. Is everybody gone? Did everybody leave? Oh man, we're cooking. We're cooking. Felt good on stream. Maybe got a little too emotional with the T'Challa samples. You know, it is what it is. But otherwise, I thought it was a great stream, man. A lot of fun topics, a lot of good interaction from you guys. Bringing up good questions, thinking about shit I'm not even thinking about. It's awesome. It feels so good to be having good streams, making good content. People are engaged. People really want to know what's going on. Toby Leak looks bananas. So this was another good one. I appreciate it. We're going to have a ton of good ones leading up to Doomsday, leading up to Secret Wars, and hopefully beyond. So thank you if you've been sticking with me. Feels like we're finally back. And if you're new here, you're probably like, what the fuck? I thought the stream was over. What is he doing? He better not talk about his third eye and cleaning out our buttholes. Well, I got bad news for you. That's exactly what I'm going to do. Get on out of here. Do me a couple of favors before you do. First of all, open up your third eye. And second of all, wash out your stinky butt. Seriously, it's important. Not enough people do it. Wash out your butthole. Stinks. Okay, see you.